The Michigan International Speedway, 2 miles of high-speed, high-excitement racetrack. A place that's been so popular with fans over its 40 years of NASCAR racing. Today, those fans have turned out on a beautiful afternoon to see which of 43 drivers takes home the trophy from the Irish Hills of Michigan.
70 miles west of Detroit, nestled in the quiet scenery of the Irish Hills, lies Brooklyn, Michigan. A small village community that embraces serenity, peace, and quiet. Over time, the routines of the day have largely gone unchanged. That is, until NASCAR comes to town. With 4 races left to the chase, this is Michigan.
10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown. Today it's 400 miles for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from the Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. As the number of races until the cutoff for NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup dwindles, the pressure on the drivers grows. Those like Denny Hamlin on the bubble as he heads into the pre-race drivers briefing a little while ago. No, a mistake today can be costly. Tony Stewart, starting 21st, needs a good run today to assure his place in the chase, while Dale Earnhardt Jr. just needs to get some momentum back. He's got a good starting spot in 4th position. There's your championship leader, Kyle Busch, starts 11th today. Can he get win number 9 on the season? Qualifying for this race was held on Friday. Elliott Sadler had the 3rd fastest lap in his Dodge. He could use a win to turn around what's been a difficult year thus far. Jimmy Johnson, the 2-time defending champion, served notice he'll be a force today, qualifying 2nd fastest in his Chevrolet. But on the pole, Brian Vickers, whose Red Bull Toyota team's been on the rise of late, could today be the day he and that team go to victory lane? What would be the team's first win ever? Let's hear from the pole winner with our Mike Massaro.
They flirted with that first victory, Alan. How badly do you and this team need that first win?
Right. Well, I can tell you we really want it. And, you know, the entire Red Bull shop and all of Toyota really deserve it. You know, we've worked so hard for so long. I mean, it's amazing what this team has accomplished, you know, so far and how far we've come in a year. But we've come so close to getting that victory. We've led so many races and led so many laps and just haven't led the right one.
And one of those races was right here at Michigan back in June. You led 44 laps. How would you compare the strength and performance of the car you have today to the one you had back in June?
Well, I'd say very similar. You know, we feel like we're a little bit better, but I'm sure everybody else is a little bit better too. So we need to be a little bit better to even repeat what we did, much less, you know, win the race at the end. I really feel like we had an opportunity there, and unfortunately the pit strategy and the fuel mileage, the way it played out, didn't work out for us, but hopefully we can recapture that victory today.
Well, certainly Brian Vickers has another opportunity today, Alan. He leads the field to the green.
Michael, thank you. That 83 car lined up in the first slot on the grid. Our ESPN pit studio standing tall, overlooking, let's see, the start-finish line, victory lane, Jamie McMurray's pit right in front of us. And we welcome you inside for our coverage of today's Michigan race. Alan Bestwick with 5-time Michigan winner Rusty Wallace and NASCAR team owner Brad Daugherty. Let's start with the big picture. This track has always been a favorite for the drivers. Why?
It's because there's so much room out there. The drivers can run the top of the racetrack, the bottom of the racetrack, the middle of the racetrack, and they like that because there's some crucial passes that are going to happen out there. And when you come off that turn 4 wide open, that baby slipping and slide, you need that room so you don't hit somebody. So the drivers love it because of all the room.
He said it all, slipping and sliding. And as a fan, you get to sit back and watch these cats spread out 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide, running in multiple grooves. And what you have to do when you watch this race is look from mid-pack back and pick out your favorite driver.
Boy, take a look at this right here.
Everywhere.
3 wide right now. Look at Tony Stewart outside. I mean, that's what you're going to see all day long here.
And they get in packs, Rusty. The cars get in packs, and it's really difficult to pass. So guys stay on top of one another all day long.
And all that momentum on the top side of the racetrack, that's really fun to watch, Alan.
That's why the drivers love the place. That's why the fans love the place. We are looking forward to a great race here today. Now, a couple other things that will factor in throughout the day. We'll talk about pit strategy and fuel mileage and these guys racing for their place in the chase. Fuel mileage, always a big deal here.
It is huge here because we have tremendous long green flag runs. You don't see a lot of cautions here at Michigan, so you have a tendency, you have 4 stops basically, maybe 5, and you have to hit your setups right, usually on that first stop, and fuel mileage always plays out here. And remember, guys, if you run out of fuel at the start-finish line, it's 2 miles around this racetrack. It's going to be a long haul trying to get back to pit road.
Brad, you can run out of gas at the start-finish line here and not make it around the racetrack. I've done it before. You get stopped in the middle of 3 and 4. That's how big this track is, Alan.
There's no question a main theme of the day today will be the race to the chase. Drivers fighting for those precious spots in NASCAR's version of the playoffs. The standings are very crowded, and the picture sure didn't get any clearer last Sunday at Watkins Glen.
Drivers getting buckled up, setting for 90 laps here at historic Watkins Glen International.
How many things can go wrong in a road course race, and the list of keys is much longer here than what we typically deal with.
Let's go, guys. Come on.
Just got to be there at the end and keep it on the racetrack, buddy. You have a good day.
With only 5 races until the chase begins, Watkins Glen proved to be a challenge to the teams racing for their place in the championship hunt.
Trouble in turn 1. The third-place automobile is spun right out into the face of traffic. Everybody's scattering, trying to avoid Ryan Newman.
Broke again. We're dead in the water.
The Glen was also a challenge for the teams with an already firm position in the points.
Got a flat tire or something. Can you tell which side it is? The left front.
The 24 team's asking NASCAR to post the 24 because they can't communicate with Jeff Gordon. They want to get him on pit road.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. That radio came disconnected.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. brought the car in, and they've got a long road to hoe now. Coming back out mid-pack here.
I give away the race, basically, but I mean, everybody's doing the same strategy. It's kind of a ridiculous little race we got here.
Kyle Busch took his 8th checkered flag of the season, but more importantly, the win guaranteed him more bonus points than anyone else in the chase.
I'm sorry. What's wrong? Hell yeah, boys. What's up? The man, Kyle Busch. They can keep trying to play these mind games. We'll just keep on winning.
Another big winner would be a guy who hasn't missed a chase yet.
Matt Kenseth sitting back there in 11th. I think this is a huge day for them. I know yesterday they weren't that good in practice, but if he can end up somewhere around there, he's got himself in the top 12 right now.
Thanks to Earnhardt Jr.'s poor race strategy, Edwards and Johnson climbed 1 spot each to 2nd and 3rd in points. Tony Stewart's runner-up finish gained him 2 spots in the standings. Now with only 4 races remaining, 138 points is all that separate the drivers ranked 7th to 13th. The Motor City will bring more pressure to the Bubble Boys. Teammates Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer both need a good finish at a track where neither has a strong record.
5 to go. Keep digging.
Do the best we can out there, David.
David Reagan is sitting 14th in points, and a breakthrough win would really help. Greg Biffle has won here twice and needs a return to 4th after sliding 2 spots in the points after the Glen.
In his 15th start for Hendrick Motorsports, finally, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to score. Yeah, baby! Way down, Dale Jr.
Good job.
Woo!
Michigan fans were treated to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s first win with Hendrick Motorsports in June. A strong run would be redemption from the Glen. Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart both have wins in Michigan, and both are looking to finally return to victory lane and championship form. Now, I want to go back and look at those championship standings again and just the bubble spots. And this week would kind of expand that bubble from 7th up to 6th place.
Absolutely, and Jeff Gordon really has struggled. I mean, even though he's in 6th place, he has yet to get to victory lane. His name is synonymous with championship. And then you go to the other end of the spectrum. Poor old Clint Boyer, I'm going to tell you, I love this guy. He wears his emotions on his sleeves. And he is really struggling right now. They have struggled the past 13 races with trying to be consistent, and it's really getting to be a precarious time in the season for him.
Talking about who has momentum and who needs it in these last 4 races. You mentioned Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer need momentum. Who's got it? Who needs it?
Well, right now, who's got it is definitely Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. The guys I'm concerned about, though, it's definitely Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon. Those 2 guys have not been running well, and if they have been running well, they've been having problems on the racetrack.
Does that margin for error for all these drivers and teams being so small here today affect the guy in the noodle as he gets ready to start the race?
Oh, absolutely, Alan. It sure does. You know you're behind. You know you're having problems out there, and you can't make a mistake because the chase is getting close. It's time to take all the mistakes, get rid of them, stay focused, get working with that crew chief, get that old hot rod running good, but it's in your head. No mistakes, no mistakes.
Yeah, and it's such a confident sport. If you're a guy like Clint Boyer and you're struggling, you're going to notice any problem earlier, and you're going to be like, oh, my goodness, here we go again as I throw my pen away.
Don't throw your pen at us.
You're gonna be, here we go again. There's another problem, and we're going to have to deal with that. I'll throw that one, too.
Let's hear from one of those drivers trying to scratch and claw his way into the chase field. Maybe he's going to throw a pen, too. David Reagan, the sophomore driver from Georgia's with Shannon Spake.
That's right, Alan. Now, if you would have asked his crew chief at the beginning of the season if this team would have made it into the chase, he would have said, with a little luck, yes, they will. Right now, 14th, 89 points out of 12. How much pressure do you put on yourself to get in that top 12?
Well, it's Michigan, it's Ford's hometown, so we always have a lot of pressure this weekend, but a little bit extra pressure. 4 races to go, 4 good tracks for our AAA team, so we feel like we've always got pressure, but we put a little more pressure on ourselves to try not make that big mistake. I think you're going to see, you know, all the guys contending for the chase in the top 10, in the top 12, and it's going to be about that one team or one driver that makes a key mistake that, you know, drops them some points back.
All right, Alan, it was a Roush Fenway racer driver that went to victory lane last night, Carl Edwards. David Reagan hoping he goes to victory lane here today.
He starts 16th. Shannon will keep an eye on him. Coming up on the Michigan edition of NASCAR Countdown, with so much discussion over tires this racing season, we take an inside look at just how Goodyear's NASCAR racing tires are made. In this year's first Michigan race, Dale Earnhardt Jr. saved every bit of gasoline he could, a strategy that won him the race. We'll talk to Jr. and discuss the fuel factor. And Kyle Busch, coming off his 8th win of the season a week ago and looking to pile some more points onto his championship lead today. That and a whole lot more coming up from Michigan.
Hey, them sunflowers, you know you can eat them things.
Not me.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell at 8 Eastern tonight. Ryan Howard and the Phillies taking on Adrian Gonzalez and the San Diego Padres. And then on Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn ESPN2, Lance Berkman and the Houston Astros face division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers, led by Ryan Braun. That at 8 Eastern on Monday, followed by Baseball Tonight. Former NASCAR chairman Bill France Jr. used to say, you can't race without tires. That's pretty true. Goodyear has been involved in NASCAR racing since 1954 and been the exclusive supplier to NASCAR's 3 National Series since 1997. The introduction of NASCAR's new style race car has led to some twists for Goodyear over this past year or so. Twists that have led to some harsh comments from drivers and painful memories for people who build the tires in Ohio. Here's Andy Petrie.
Hard to the wall, Tony Stewart. It has the look of a blown right front tire.
It's just a shame that you know, the teams work so hard and spend so much money to compete, and then it's all dictated by a tire company that's building tires that aren't worthy of a street car.
It has all the look that a right front tire did go down on that 2 car.
We have 43 drivers and 43 crew chiefs and 30 owners, so we get 120 opinions, plus all the data. You know, we try to do a very diligent job on assembling all that data and making sure that it's analyzed in the correct way.
Yeah, I was just talking to Mr. Campbell down there from Goodyear, and I mean, we can burn the tires off in 5 laps, so I think that's going to be a really big issue.
That looks like an explosion underneath the right rear fender. Just blew part of the fender off.
It sounded like a bomb blew up when his right rear tire blew.
I can't say enough how sorry we are, and you know, it's our responsibility being NASCAR that, you know, we don't go through this situation again.
We're trying to understand what Indy presented us with. We're trying to understand what was different this year versus last year. There is a solution, and we'll find it, and it'll get fixed.
The ongoing process of creating a tire that goes fast while remaining safe is a delicate balance. Goodyear does extensive laboratory testing at their Ohio headquarters.
There's a lot of material science from a chemistry standpoint. We have scientists and compounders who are looking for new materials and new polymers and new interactions of those components all the time.
In addition to laboratory testing, Goodyear collects raw data at every race weekend.
You know, we're in the pits, we're taking our own data as well as listening to the teams afterwards and the drivers afterwards. So we try to get as much input as we can to look ahead and see what we want to do at the next event. The driver feedback is important. We respect their input. We want those guys to be happy. We want them to be satisfied customers, right?
Testing is vital to creating the correct tire for each individual track. Every track has a unique makeup with various lengths, banking, and surface structures. All these variables play into the components used to make a tire.
The things that you would think are common denominators that would require a similar tire, oftentimes they're not. There's a huge difference in the track surface itself. Age of track is a variable that we have to take into account with different tires.
The biggest challenge for Goodyear is NASCAR's development of the new Cup car. The new car has a higher center of gravity and creates less downforce than the previous car. Higher center of gravity, coupled with higher static weight, puts more pressure on the right side tire.
That's been a big challenge for them, to get a tire that will accept all the wheel loads and make it good to race side by side. It's a difficult spot to be in.
Right side tires carry load. The banking pushes back on the tire and creates extremely high loads. It has less downforce. It doesn't handle as well. It wasn't intended to handle as well. We've had to do an extensive amount of track testing to understand what the car wants from tires.
Increased testing is the only way for NASCAR and Goodyear to understand how the new Cup car will react.
Obviously, when you come into something new, you have to have more research and development. Right now, they're leaning on the teams from a NASCAR standpoint and from a Goodyear standpoint to pay for their development. In order for the teams to go forward, there's going to have to be more tire tests, and I don't think the teams can be responsible, shouldn't have to be responsible for showing up at those tests and spending their own money to develop a tire for Goodyear and NASCAR.
We're confident that we're going to take what we've learned at the Indy race and move forward, and it's brought some things to light that we haven't been looking at in the past, is not just a tire manufacturer, but as us at NASCAR. So I think right now, we're confident that it won't happen again, but you never know when the perfect storm will arise.
The ultimate responsibility for specifying the tire lies with us. You know, NASCAR recognizes that we're the tire experts, we're their tire supplier. They respect our ability to design and provide a good competitive product. So ultimately, that lies with us. We determine what that tire is going to look like and share that with NASCAR.
You never hear about tires when there's no problem, but you sure do hear about it when there is a problem. Andy Petrie joins us now from the broadcast booth where he's getting ready to help call today's race. Andy, you saw the tires for this race being made. How long ago and how?
Alan, I went up to Akron after the Indianapolis race, and you see a lot of machines and all that looks like they make these tires with, but what I got a sense of is how much they're made by hand. These people really put these tires together one at a time. It's almost like making a Swiss watch or something. These things are all handmade, and they got a lot of some automated things that they do, but it is still a hand process.
You know, there's an overriding impression that you and I were talking about that you got in watching this process. What was that?
The biggest thing for me, Alan, was how much these people care. I was there, like I said, the week after Indianapolis, and you can imagine it wasn't a happy time, and these people really were concerned about how they were going to fix this problem and how it looked on them. And they really care about what they do. They care about the drivers, the guys that ride on these tires. They even put their name on that tire. The tire builders stick a sticker on the inside of that thing with their name, so they have a lot of pride in what they do there.
All right, Andy, we appreciate the quick update on Goodyear. And by the way, Goodyear has scheduled 2 tests at Indianapolis, one coming up in mid-September and one coming up in early October to begin to work on next year's tire for the Indianapolis race. We will hear more from the drivers in today's race here in Michigan when NASCAR Countdown returns to the Michigan International Speedway. We're in the Irish Hills, a vacation area dotted with lakes and farms, lots of corn standing tall in the fields, and a racetrack right in the middle of all that.
Did you know Darty is Irish?
It is?
Yep. Andy Petrie's 50 years old, too. Did you know that?
We do now.
Happy birthday, Andy.
first car I ever owned. 1974 Camaro, actually. My first car was a very small full drive called an Isuzu.
A 1986 Ford Ranger pickup truck.
It was a black Mustang GT. My dad owned a Ford dealership, and I always wanted a sports car. Thought it was cool. Had a little 80s mustache going on. I mean, a little Burt Reynolds style stuff going on there.
When I started driving the Chevrolet, I would park that Ford up towards the front of all the transporters where all the Chevrolet folks would see it. And it wasn't long until I had a nice new Chevrolet truck.
Very nice, Jimmy. Such a huge car weekend in the Motor City. This is the Woodward Dream Cruise. 30,000 muscle cars, classic cars, and street rods cruising Woodward Avenue. Better than 1 million spectators looking on. Here at the Speedway, they've even gotten into the swing of the weekend. Race sponsor 3M putting on its own classic car show here at the track. Elliott Sadler's hoping his car is a classic today. He starts third, Dave Burns.
And Alan, it's a lot different than the hot rod he talked about in that piece, but it's very, very fast. Same car he ran at Indy. And I understand your sponsor, Stanley's, put just a little more pressure on you to win this weekend?
Yeah, this has been an unbelievable week for me and my family and everybody at Gillette Evernham Motorsports. Stanley Tools, along with Ace Hardware, putting up $1 million to the Children's Miracle Network if we're able to win the race today. So never raced for that much money of charity or any kind, so a little pressure on us. But we feel like we got a good car. We qualified good, so we're going to start the race in a good position, got a good pit selection. I think we're going to have a pretty good day today.
And Alan, when we started our conversation, he started out with, I didn't sleep a wink last night. I think he's excited.
$1 million to the charity if he can win. That's pretty good. Now, he's going to need some good fuel mileage if he's going to win this race today. One of the things that just seems to come into play more here in Michigan than at most other tracks is fuel mileage in deciding winners. Why more here than most other places?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. Well, first, it's a 2-mile racetrack, and unlike Talladega and Daytona, you're not doing a lot of drafting, and there's not only just 2 single lines of traffic. You have 4 or 5 alleys that you can get into here, and there's not many cautions in this race. You'll see a lot of long green flag runs, so guys have to be really smart, but it's hard. You get those big V8s wound up, those things are breathing, sucking in all that air, sucking in all that fuel. Those hot rods are rolling, baby.
I'll tell you all about fuel mileage. You want to know about it? Makes me sick as a driver. I can't stand fuel mileage racing, man. I've lost so many races running out of gas you can't see straight. And at this particular track right here in Michigan, if you run out of gas at start-finish line, you probably won't make it back around.
Yeah.
I want to race, man.
Yeah.
I want to stand. I want to pass people. I don't want to save.
All you need is a few cautions, though. If you have a few cautions throughout the day, then that just takes care of it. But there's just not many cautions because there's not big packs.
That's tough, man. I hate that. Dale Jr. won the race. The motor wasn't even running.
That's right. He in June used to shut the car's engine off and coast around under the caution flag trying to save fuel. That was one of the tricks that allowed Junior to get the victory lane then. But doesn't it use more gas to restart the car once you've shut it off? Not so, says Tim Brewer, our Chevy cutaway car. Tim?
You're right, Alan. Earnhardt, he pulled off a pretty cagey move here in Michigan to save that fuel to win the race. What he did, folks, when under caution, he would actually reach over, push the clutch in, knock the thing out of gear, turn the ignition switch off. It actually coasts maybe even 1/4 of a mile. But you do that 3 or 4 times per lap, you're going to save a little fuel. But to restart the engine, rather than pump the gas, turn the ignition on and hit the starter, all he would do is reach over, push the clutch in, pull it over in high gear, let the clutch out. That'd fire the engine up using the fuel that's in the cylinders. Rather than pump that gas pedal, thinking man's game, that's the reason Earnhardt won that race here on fuel mileage.
All right, Tim, a couple noteworthy performances from qualifying. David Ruderman delivered for Big Brown. He starts 7th today, hoping to turn around a rough stretch that's seen him finish in the 30s the last 3 weeks. And Regan Smith, the young New Yorker with his 3rd top 10 qualifying run of the year, looking for his first ever Sprint Cup top 10 finish. Will it come today? NASCAR Countdown continues from Michigan in a minute.
You ever had one of them brain freezes? That looks like one of them joints.
Tony Eury Jr. told Dale Earnhardt Jr., slow your lap times way down. We've got to try to do this on fuel mileage.
One attempt at a green-white checkered finish. 76 races since Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been to victory lane. Caution is out, the race is over.
Yeah, baby! Way to go, Tony Jr.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the winner at Michigan.
So you think gasoline's expensive for you, right? Imagine if Junior's car had run dry in June instead of making the finish. The last car on the lead lap was 23rd place. The difference in money between the winner and 23rd, $96,000 and change.
Wow.
Now, even though these race cars use about $3 worth of Sunoco fuel each lap, it would have cost a whole lot more for Junior to be without that gasoline. Strategy was right in June. It was wrong last week. How's it going to be today? Jamie Littles with Dale Jr.
Well, it's certainly always a gamble, right? He won here on fuel strategy, and last week that pit call cost them the race. So, Junior, when you and Tony Jr. go back, how do you guys move on and get past something like what happened at Watkins Glen?
What happened at Watkins Glen was we had a pretty bad race car at the end of the race. I don't think we were going to beat Kyle if we made a different call on pit road. But, you know, I think a lot of people made too much of that. We were struggling most of the day. After about lap 30, we were struggling pretty bad. Lost a lot of chassis height in the front end. And so, I don't know. We know what our plan is, and we got a good car this weekend, and get out there and get our job done and have some fun.
You say you have a good car a couple months ago. Big day for you guys, big win here. What do you think your chances are for victory number 2 here today?
They're just as good, if not a little better. We're a little smarter now. We've learned a lot since we were here racing last time, a lot about the car. And that's going to be the case every time you go back, and we keep learning about this car. So I feel pretty good. It's, you know, it's a fun racetrack, and it gets better and better over the years, and makes it pretty fun to move around and run different routes here. So my car was pretty good yesterday, and we just need to keep up with the racetrack today, keep adjusting, keep up with the track. We'll be fine.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. knows, like we all do, that it's all about track position. He rolls off 4th. Alan?
He's got good track position to start the day. We'll see if he's got the right mileage and the right strategy through the day. Since their win in June, this team has finished out of the top 10 in 6 of 7 races, including the last 4 straight. How much pressure are they under to start having some good results?
I think they're feeling some pressure. I mean, since the change, I mean, you know, you talk about the Kyle Busch for Dale Earnhardt situation at the beginning of the year, a lot of pressure. Both of those guys did really well early on. Right now, they're struggling, though, and they need momentum. All of these guys need momentum, especially those who don't have wins and only have 1 win going into the chase. Kyle Busch is like a rocket. He's got 8 wins. He's out there. They better pick the game up.
Brad, I really think that Dale Jr. is going to be just fine, though. I mean, this is too good of a team, Alan. It really is. These guys are strong. And remember one thing. He's got a teammate, a Jimmy Johnson. And Johnson, this is a great track for him. He's qualified right up front in 2nd position. And I think he can learn off his teammate. I think he can get back on track. He'll be fine. But you know what? He's got to quit making these mistakes now to get right for the chase. That's the most important thing right now. He will be in the chase.
You say Jimmy Johnson? We interviewed Jimmy Johnson. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, and he was a guy to watch back in June, led 65 laps here, finished 6th, but obviously a little bit of room for improvement. What have you guys concentrated on coming back here a second time?
Well, I mean, you learned so much over a few months, or a month and a half really, since we've been here. What worked at Indy, Pocono, you know, there's a lot of different things we've learned along the way that have applied to this racetrack. Great run at Chicago. So we're a lot smarter, but at the same time, the garage area is smarter. If you look at the pace from qualifying, it was like 4/10 faster than what we were here in the spring. Same with the pace that we saw in practice yesterday. So everybody's finding that same speed, and I just hope this Cobalt Tools and Paul has got the best speed.
Well, this has been a pretty good racetrack for Jimmy Johnson. He's led over 200 laps here, but he's still looking for that first win, Shannon.
Well, Jeff Gordon is currently 6th in the point standings, and while your team is no way near struggling, certainly from last year, this team is definitely off. You said that there are some things that you want to work on to get stronger and better. What are you referring to?
Well, you know, it's just trying to find out the right combination with the bump stops. You know, when you get to these bigger, faster racetracks, trying to learn, you know, what the car really wants aerodynamically as well as mechanically, and just trying to match that up to my driving style. You know, last week was definitely disappointing because we did run so well there last year. But you know, we're a strong race team, and I think that things like last week only motivate us and make us stronger. And so we're anxious to get this race going. I think we've got a great race car. DuPont Chevrolet's been good all weekend long, and I hope we can continue that here all day.
Now, obviously, making the chase is one thing, but you guys want to be competitive in the chase. Do you feel like time is running out to figure those things out in order to be competitive in those last 10 races?
Well, it's one thing at a time. I mean, it's still extremely important to us to be in the chase. When we get in the chase, we want to be competitive enough to win a championship. And, you know, those are the things that we're working towards right now. When that race in New Hampshire starts, it's amazing how things change. This team takes things to a whole nother level. It's all about those 10 races, consistency, and I don't think there's anybody better than this team at being able to pull that together. So, you know, these next 4 races are obviously crucial ones for us. We're in a tough situation. We're not locked in, so we can't take, you know, risks just to learn stuff and try things. But at the same time, you know, we're not all the way on the outside looking in where we don't, you know, we're kind of there. We just got to be somewhere in the middle. We got to run hard, do our thing, but we can't take big risks, and that's kind of a tough position to be in.
Jeff Gordon, 6th in the point standing, still looking for his first win of the season.
Now, Shannon, speaking of winning, that's sort of been Greg Biffle's way here at the Michigan International Speedway since he started trucks in '99 and 2000, 2 wins immediately, and then a couple of Sprint Cup wins. Why here, Greg? Why has this place been so good to you?
Man, I don't know. We're just, you know, I really love this racetrack. You can race 2 or 3 wide, but it's a great track for me, and hopefully I get the 3 and 4 Fusion in Victory Lane. A little added pressure, so 3M Performance 400. So I've been good at that, though. They sponsored. We had another sponsor one of these races, and we won. So just hoping to have a good top 5 run.
Alan, they've worn him out all morning with hospitality. Now he gets to go racing, do what he does here best.
And hope he wears the field out, right? Greg Biffle lined up in 9th on the grid. New faces and new places today. Brad Coleman, 20-year-old Texan, making his first drive in the Hall of Fame Racing 96, starting 43rd. And Mike Skinner's behind the wheel of the Michael Waltrip Racing 00 car for this race in the next couple. The former Craftsman truck champ starts 22nd.
There's that same guy that was supposed to bring me a pizza yesterday. He's still out riding around.
Aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. The Grand Marshal for today's race is 12-year-old Austin Irwin, a Make-A-Wish child from Greenfield, Missouri. He suffers from Wilms tumor, a kidney disease that affects children more than adults. Irwin got to meet Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon, and some other drivers during the weekend, and he's going to get to say those famous words very shortly.
There you go. That's right.
So let's see, we have 5 and then 3. Isn't that what Kyle Busch did last week? 8 wins in all for Kyle Busch. His Watkins Glen victory a week ago. The latest remarkable moment in what has been a remarkable season so far.
Wild thing wins. Yes. Kyle Busch. Nobody does it better, I can tell you that. Rowdy Busch wins at Talladega. Wild thing wins again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Eminem.
Kyle Busch tamed the Monster Mile.
Checkered flag in the air for Kyle Busch. He wins at Sonoma.
You boys are awesome. Thank you, thank you. You guys are so awesome. Woo! Yeah!
The winner of the Coke Zero 400 is Kyle Busch.
Think about this for a week, boys.
And Kyle Busch is coming off of driver intros, won 7 of the last 14 races. And Kyle, you always say you're not having fun unless you win. Nothing else matters. Where do you get that drive? Where does it come from?
Just growing up that way, I guess. Always trying to win, always trying to be one of the best. So hopefully here today we can have a good solid run and go after another win and try to get some more of those bonus points.
We're here in Detroit. It's the backyard for Chevy, for Dodge, for Ford. What would it mean to get Toyota in victory lane here?
Well, it would mean everything. You know, you want to try to win any race, but, you know, being in their backyard, I guess it'd be nice to, you know, come home and steal the thunder a little bit.
Well, good news for Kyle Busch. If he finishes 10th or better today, he'll clinch his spot in the chase, and he'll be the #1 seed. Alan?
Kyle's car lined up 11th on the grid for today's race. You heard some talk from Kyle about mind games over a couple of weeks when he had that little mini slump for a couple of weeks. Some teams maybe messing with their mind a little bit, trying to spread the word around that the 18 may have lost its edge. When you were racing for a championship, was there somebody that messed with your head a little bit?
Oh, yeah, all the time. It was that #3 car, Dale Earnhardt Sr. was always in my head. I'm in an '89 when I won my title and different years when I was going for it. The guy was always there, just messing with me all the time. And I'm just like, will you stop?
How did it
Just
affect
stop.
you?
It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. I kept telling myself, he's trying to drive me crazy. Keep him out of your head. And I was able to do it one year. He got me 2 other years, though. But, I mean, he is a mind. The guy was always in people's minds.
And in particular in Rusty's era, you could those race cars, they could really lean on one another. We saw Dale Earnhardt Sr. do that quite a bit. Today's cars are so aero-sensitive and they're so driver-sensitive that you really can't lean on one another. So in reality, the only way you can get into Kyle Busch's mind is to use the media. And that's what Jack Roush has done. He's put it out there, so Kyle has to think about it, and we get to aggravate him, always asking him about it. As long as that cat gets in a good race car, which he's had all year long, and his team continues to surround him with good people, he's on his way to a championship. Some of these guys better win some races, or he's going to walk away with it.
Last question, yes or no, from both of you, real quick. Can Kyle keep this pace up for 14 more weeks?
Yes. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been doing it. I've been waiting for him to stop, and he hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
He's even won all the road courses, for Pete's sake.
He had that little bitty lull, and when he won last week, that's all he needed to get his mojo back. These cats better buckle those seatbelts.
Wasn't one word, but I'll take it anyway. Closing in on the green flag today here in Michigan. Kurt Busch won this race 1 year ago. He could use a win today. Kurt's only got 5 top 10s the whole season. Mark Martin, a 4-time Michigan winner, starts 15th today. Can he give the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated team a needed trip to the winner's circle? And Carl Edwards won yesterday's Nationwide Series race here. He starts way back in 27th, but boy, he was fast in practice. Next weekend, need I say more? Bristol.
Wrecker service.
Oh, baby. I can't wait, man.
The house that Rusty owned. Next Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, ESPN, our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series coverage presented by Pennzoil Platinum. Remember that wacky finish they had to the spring race there? Jeff Burton and Denny Hamlin was involved, and you never knew who was going to win. More of the same next Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. Don't miss it. After yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide Series race, NASCAR impounded several cars to put them on a chassis dyno to make some horsepower comparative tests. And NASCAR Vice President of Competition Robin Pemberton says that their inspectors discovered some spacers placed on the gas pedal stop of the Joe Gibbs racing cars. It was magnets that were about a 1/4 inch thick that prevented the accelerator from going 100% wide open. Pemberton said the intention was to manipulate the numbers that we get, speaking we being NASCAR, when we get our information and data off the dyno. In the end, we got what we needed to. Pemberton going on to say that NASCAR will be issuing some penalties against Joe Gibbs Racing's Nationwide Series teams probably on Tuesday. This morning, team president J.D. Gibbs met with the press. It was actually just a little while ago around noontime. Here's what he had to say.
A couple guys chose to make a decision there that really impacts all of us. And to me, the frustrating part is why? You know, I know they were probably frustrated from the standpoint that wanting to show that, hey, we have less horsepower than ever before, and wanted to make it look like we're handicapped, you know, even more than we actually were. I understand that, but that's not an excuse. I think for us, we kind of feel like, I know with us in the engine shop, that's kind of a badge of honor. You win that engine dyno, good for you.
And J.D. Gibbs said that will be addressed, those individuals back at his team shops at the beginning part of this week as well. Do we have some reaction to this?
Well, obviously they shouldn't have been doing what they were doing, but I think they're down far enough, Toyota was, as far as horsepower was concerned before we came back into this race. They made some significant gains in their program, and they all were done honorably. This is just one of those situations where they got caught, got to pay the penalty.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I don't know about all that stuff. There's one thing I do know about,
What's that?
All those penalties they get, all that money, that goes to the NASCAR Charitable Foundation, and those guys are getting ready to get they're going to get a big check out of this one. There's no doubt about that. It's all for charity, though, folks. All for charity.
Unrelated to the Cup side of things, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out. And by the way, unrelated to the actual competition on the track yesterday. This all happened after the race was over. Other news being made here this weekend. Tony Stewart announcing on Friday morning that Ryan Newman would indeed be the driver of the Stewart-Haas team's second car in 2009. No sponsorship for the number 4 car has been announced yet. Let's hear from Tony and Ryan now, starting with Shannon Spake.
All right, down here with Tony Stewart. Actually, the name of your new race team should be Stewart-Haas Hoosier Racing, and of course that's because Ryan Newman is also from Indiana. Well, you have your driver announced, your team announced. Can you sit back, relax, and take a breath now?
Nope, not yet. A lot of work to be done, and we got to watch so we don't hit the Haas pit sign here. But no, it's exciting. It's an exciting time for us, and you know, getting Ryan on board, that's something we're very, very excited about and proud about. So, you know, hopefully the both of us will have a lot of success here in the future and have fun doing it together.
All right, good luck to you today, Tony.
Well, Shannon, with his contract situation now resolved, that's one thing Ryan Newman doesn't have to worry about. One thing he might be a little concerned about, though, motors. You changed the motor in practice. You had a motor problem here back in June. How much of a concern is there?
Well, we're starting last. That's the biggest concern. I mean, obviously, we think that the engine is a good one. That's why we have it in the race car, but I didn't expect it to fail in the first lap of practice on Friday. But that's racing. We'll go on, see what we can do with the Altel Dodge to get it back up front.
Ryan Newman does have a couple of wins here at Michigan. Unfortunately, the last one came in 2004. Dave?
Mike, so does Matt Kenseth. He needs maximum points today, 12th in the race to the chase right now. How close is your car to getting those maximum points, Matt?
Well, to get maximum points, you got to win and lead the most laps, so I hope it's close to that. But we had a really great car here in the spring race. We ran really good and just kind of got beat on fuel mileage strategy type of thing. So I think it's okay. I don't think it's as good as we were last time, but hopefully make some good adjustments to the DeWalt Fusion today and have it somewhere up front. It's been a while since we won a race. We need to get up there and try to win one of these things.
How tough are the quote-unquote strategy races when all you want to do is get in there and go fast?
Well, they're difficult this year. It's been especially difficult. There's been a lot of strategy, a lot of fuel savings, being in front, clean air, all that kind of stuff. So the great thing about this track is just as far as strategy, two tires being in front and all that, you can pass here better than 90% of the tracks that we go to. There's a lot of grooves. It's really, really fun to race on. All the fans that came out today will see a great show. So that's the fun part. So as long as fuel doesn't come into play, you know, you can run flat out here and really do a lot of passing, a lot of good racing.
Thanks, Matt. Let's go to Jamie.
And Kevin Harvick, second fastest in Happy Hour yesterday and been the most consistent RCR car, especially 3 of the last 4 races, Kevin. What keeps you guys separated from those two and is the form of consistency at this point in the year?
Well, our Shell Pennzoil Chevrolets have run a lot better than they did in the middle of the year there. We've just hit on some things that I like as a driver and feel comfortable with and make the cars comfortable for me to drive. So the only lap that we haven't run fast this week was qualifying. Our car's been really good and looking forward to getting going today.
And you're starting 38th. What is the strategy to get to the front?
Go fast, turn left. No, you know, the biggest thing is just getting past these first couple laps without having any trouble, and then just kind of go from there. Hopefully our car's good enough to pass some cars, and you know, traffic makes it a little bit more difficult than it probably would be if, you know, once things get strung out. So just stay out of trouble for a couple laps, then go from there.
Kevin Harvick sits 11th in the points. Today has to be a good points day for him. He's got to stay out of trouble to get it done. Alan?
Got a lot of different things to watch where points are concerned. The chase bubble guys and the top 35 in owner points. Important because the top 35 are guaranteed a starting spot in next week's race, and it's so close.
Oh, it's really close. The guy I'm concerned about right now, look at Michael Waltrip. Got a big team, a big commitment. He's only 13 points into this thing right now. But look at Sam Hornish. He's doing a great job his first year at racing, and he's in 34th, and that's pretty doggone good.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Michael Waltrip, you know, they brought Mike Skinner in to put in Michael McDowell's car, and they did that earlier in the Toyota family with A.J. Allmendinger. They brought Skinner in to kind of shore up that team. He's got them in qualified at 22nd today. This could be a good points day and get them back into that top 35.
Right, what about A.J. Allmendinger?
Yeah,
I mean, this guy's doing a great job. He's 35th in the points right now. He's been holding on. He's struggling back into. I like how Allmendinger's been driving.
He's had some great runs, and ever since they brought Jimmy Elledge over, it's kind of gave him a big shot in the arm, and Jimmy's doing a great job with A.J.
Going to be interesting to see that top 35 as it unfolds during the day today, especially because Bristol next week, entire field qualified within a couple tenths of a second. I think I'd want to have one of those guaranteed starting spots for that race next week. We heard Matt Kenseth talking just a minute ago about fuel mileage. We heard Rusty vent on the frustrations of trying to race in an event where you think fuel mileage is going to become a big factor. But we all know it's out there for today. So as you're getting ready to buckle in, and you know it can be a fuel mileage day, what's on your noodle? What are you thinking about as a driver getting ready to go?
I'm relying on the crew chief to help me out a lot. I mean, if they're okay on fuel, tell me we're okay so I can hammer down, drive hard, and try to stretch it out. If I'm in trouble, tell me early so I can start saving fuel. Don't tell me at the last minute where I can't help you.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing you have to do as a team, you have to sit down and really come up with a plan, and you have to stick with that plan, and that's very difficult to do. You hear guys talk about it all the time, but the race changed, and sometimes it's hard to kind of stay with your strategy, but you have to do that in order to conserve that fuel because you know it's going to be a part of this race.
Brad, I think you're going to see a lot today, especially under a caution flag. If these guys are going for fuel, things like Tim Brewer told us earlier, they'll be turning the engine off, they'll be coasting a long way, firing it back up, doing everything they possibly can to save fuel. I'll tell you, as a driver, I hate racing like that, though. I mean, I want to drive hard. I want to give it all I got. These engine builders build a lot of power that you loses a lot of fuel. and hey, you want to use it.
Yeah, we were just looking at Clint Boyer there a second ago. One of the really interesting things I think about today's race is that so many of these bubble guys in the chase are starting way in the back of the field. Boyer starting 41st today. Denny Hamlin 37th. Kevin Harvick 29th. Casey Kane 32nd.
Yeah, well, that's scary.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's scary because you're back in the back and you're saying to yourself, okay, we want to get to the front as quickly as we possibly can. We want to do it through pit stops, through good runs. But you're back in the pack, and you have to be smart. You got to take care of that race car. You can't bend up the geometry on that race car, and you got to preserve so you can be there at the end of the day and have a good point.
You said a key thing right there, Brad. You got to be smart. You got to be looking all around you. You got to look the guys you're going to race against. Don't get too aggressive. Let's get a little bit farther into the race. But hey, Alan, have you ever noticed it seems like the guys you're racing, whether you're in the front of the pack, you're side by side, and if you're in the back, you're side by side, you're always racing that cat. So we'll see what happens today.
Kevin Harvick, heard from him a minute ago, got to come from 38th starting spot today. His team owner Richard Childress looking on. All of RC's cars got a little bit of a hole to dig out of when this race begins. Jeff Burton starting 28th in the third of the Childress cars. Scott Riggs, great qualifying run for the 66 car. He starts in 10th position today. Another storyline we can throw on top of the pile. Guys racing for their career.
Yeah, absolutely. Great starting spot for Scott. He's done a great job, or a good job in this race car. He's a good race car driver, just looking for some opportunity. Hopefully he can have a great run today and get himself a nice chance.
So how's it going to play out as we go through the day in Michigan? Can drivers needing some momentum like Jeff Gordon find a way to get to victory lane and come up with a win? Can some of those bubble boys at the back of the field safely race their way to the front? And is fuel mileage going to throw a twist into this thing one more time? 20 minutes to the green flag.
With 4 races left, only 12 drivers will advance to the chase. Time is running out. Here in the Irish Hills of Michigan, the race for the chase is on. A rising star is coming into his own and appears unstoppable. But right behind him is Carl Edwards, supremely confident in his chances here at Michigan. Chase contenders are trying to recapture championship form, while others are looking to claim championship glory for the first time. And the boys on the bubble are feeling the pressure to survive until Richmond. The tension builds as the opportunities disappear. With 4 races left to the chase, this is Michigan.
That bagpipe music's awfully quiet for a racetrack, isn't it? But maybe some of the motorhome people are still, sleeping after enjoying last night too much. It's going to get very noisy here in just a few minutes, though, when the engines fire and 43 cars storm off into turn 1 for 400 miles of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing. Weather is beautiful, can't ask for better conditions. And right now it's time to go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Lisa Bascom and the flyover from NORAD and the Canadian Air Force CF-18. And now please remain standing. Here to deliver today's invocation, Pastor Doug Bradshaw.
Let us pray. We thank you, God, for this glorious day to go racing. We thank you for all of these fans here at Michigan International Speedway. They say that this state is in trouble, but God, we know better by all of these fans today. We ask that you would keep safe each driver, each team member, and each crew member. And Lord, we enjoy this awesome freedom today because of the sacrifice of men and women. We ask that you would protect and guide those in this country and abroad who today protect our freedom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Presenting our nation's colors, VFW Post number 2406 from Charlotte, Michigan. And here with our national anthem, Big Machine's recording artist, Danielle Peck.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so glad gently streaming, and the rockets their bombs bursting gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
31 lead changes among 13 different drivers in the June race here. Who's going to spend the time leading the pack today? And who's going to lead the pack to the checkered flag after 400 miles? The engines fire when we come back to the Michigan International Speedway next. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Michigan. Brought to you by Vitamin Water. It works for Carl Edwards. Try it. And by McDonald's. You know, 1 year ago, this race was postponed not once, but twice by rain. It ran on a Tuesday. No such bad luck this time. You could not ask for a better day for these thousands of fans and for the drivers and teams who've come to Michigan International Speedway to race for 400 miles and see who takes the trophy home from the Irish hills of Michigan. While the drivers get buckled in and ready to go, let's go upstairs for the call of today's race and welcome in Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thank you very much, AB. You know, counting today, there are just 4 races remaining until the chase begins, but the bubble, folks, is expanding a bit. Only 148 points separate Jeff Gordon in 6th from Clint Boyer back in 13th. And, folks, even more surprising, 5 of these drivers are winless in 2008, but one of our experts believe that will change here today. Hello, everyone. Along with 4-time Michigan winner Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us today. And I told you, one of our experts thinks that one of those guys in the bubble that's winless this year will win today. It's this guy here who knows a lot about Michigan. DJ, who's it going to be and why?
Well, I started picking Matt Kenseth on Tuesday. I thought that with his performance here last time that it warranted him to be in that position. I think this race team needs a good race, and they can do it. He didn't have the best final practice yesterday, but Matt Kenseth really likes this racetrack. He's won here twice, and I think today may be the day that he gets off the snide.
And Roush is great here at Michigan, but I'm picking the other Roush driver, or one of the other Roush drivers, Carl Edwards. He is great on this kind of racetrack. He's won on the 2-mile track in California, and I just really believe that Carl Edwards, he needs more of these bonus points. He's got 30 of them. He's won 4 times, but he had 10 of those points taken away after an infraction at Las Vegas. He wants to add some bonus points, so when they reset at Richmond, he's got a better shot at these guys.
You're just picking Carl because you guys shared a birthday on Friday. By the way, he's a couple of years younger than you now. Now, this racetrack, the speeds can approach 200 miles per hour, but as we saw back in June and many times in the past, this race is won on fuel mileage. So I'm going to ask you the question that the manufacturers are being asked in Detroit. Do you build a car that's very, very fast, or do you build a car that's very, very fuel efficient?
Yeah, that's what I want. I want both of them. Okay. I want my cake and eat it too. This is the kind of racetrack you cannot give up any horsepower because you just can't keep up and you can't have a chance to win. But you've got to get good fuel mileage. You're going to try to do everything you can to stretch that fuel mileage and get every bit of fuel out of that tank.
Yeah, as a driver, I want the horsepower. I want a chance to win in case it doesn't come down to a fuel mileage race. You know, if I hadn't have had that back in 1991, all the horsepower, I don't know that I could have beat Davey Allison to the line. It was a great race, but I had to have that horsepower. And that's what I want. If fuel needs to be saved, let me do that later in the race. Whenever I have to do it, just let me know I have to do it. But give me all the horsepower I can have, baby.
Maybe this would be a good place to try a hybrid. You know, hybrids, they shut off. Those hybrids shut off at stoplights. That's exactly what Dale Earnhardt Jr. did back in June. He just shut it off and saved fuel. But that won't work under the green flag. Drivers are buckled up. We are set for 400 miles as we go down trackside to get the command to fire them up.
And now, race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Make-A-Wish child, Austin Irwin, with the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Justin, you have made my day, buddy. Great command down there, and the drivers have responded. 43 of NASCAR's finest are set to rock and roll here at Michigan for 400 miles. Our in-race reporter may be winless in 2008, but he has won twice here, including an impressive performance in August of 2004 when he came all the way from 24th starting spot to take the win. When we come back, we'll get Greg Biffle's take on what he thinks might happen today. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action set to come your way from the Irish Hills of Michigan. A 2-mile D-shaped oval. Field rolling off. Gorgeous day. Couldn't ask for better weather. Great crowd on hand to watch NASCAR here on a Sunday afternoon. 43 cars, and we're going to take you inside the battles throughout the afternoon, all the way from Jimmy Johnson starting in second spot throughout the field back to Michael Waltrip starting back in 42nd position. So we'll give you an inside look at the early laps here from high-definition onboard cameras. Take a look at our starting grid. Brian Vickers became the 12th different pole sitter in 2008. By the way, the winner here back in June, Dale Earnhardt Jr. starts fourth. Top rookie qualifier once again, Patrick Carpentier in sixth. And of course, there's our in-race reporter, driver of the 3M Ford, two-time Michigan winner, Greg Biffle, who will start ninth today. Let's talk with Greg.
Greg, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
I got you, DJ.
Hey, Greg, with your position in the points, how much can you afford to gamble if this race comes down to fuel mileage?
Well, we were talking about that earlier, DJ, and, you know, we really can't afford to gamble a lot because we're not locked in. If we were locked in, we might be a little bit more apt to take a gamble, but right now we need to do what the guys around us, the points, do, you know, for saying who are racing for the chase. So we're going to do what we can do to try and get good track position at the end. And hopefully we got good fuel mileage and, you know, we can stay out and get some track position to have a chance to win this thing.
All right, Greg, our next question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and one of your fans, Ed, in Mount Airy, North Carolina, would like to know, where does this track rank among your favorites and why?
Well, you broke up at the end there, DJ, but where does this track rank? This track ranks, as far as I'm concerned, the top of my list. It's one of the favorite places to come for me. I've got 4 wins here, 2 in the trucks, 2 in the Cup car. Hopefully today I can say after day I'd say 5. But this is one of my favorite places. You can run all over this place, down on the bottom, in the middle, on the top, and have plenty of racing room. So this is top of my list for as far as racetracks for me.
All right, Greg, thanks for being with us and have a great day.
Thank you.
If Greg Biffle has to gamble today, the man who will have to roll the dice and make the call is crew chief Greg Irwin. Let's visit with Greg.
Hey, Greg Irwin. Andy Petrie up here in the booth. Do you have us?
Yeah, Andy, loud and clear.
Hey, Greg, you know, this track has always been tight, and it seems to get tighter during the day. But we didn't see that yesterday in the Nationwide Series race. A lot of cars were loose. What can we see, expect to see today?
I don't know. I think I have 3 races with Greg here now, and we have a little bit of a notebook to go on. And we've had a little trouble with some rear grip, both last year with the old style car and in the first race here this year. So we went with our notes a little bit and found a balance that we think will stay with them, you know, all day.
Greg, we saw Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team go 55 laps in June to win this thing. Can you go that far if you have to?
I don't think so, Andy. And probably, like Greg just got done saying, we probably wouldn't take a chance of stretching it that far. I don't know exactly where this thing's going to line up, but I hopefully that it turns into a race at the end and not who can go the furthest on fuel. I mean, I know the odds are against me on that, but I think we got a pretty good car, and Greg's already told you how he feels about it. So I'd like to race him for the win.
Well, thanks a lot, Greg, and you guys have a good race. Good luck.
Thanks, Andy.
Still hard to believe Earnhardt Jr. went 55 laps here back in June, but they made it work with 12 laps of caution. Now let's update some of the other stories we'll be following today, starting in the pits. First, here's Shannon Spake.
Yeah, Doc, rolling off 25th today is Martin Truex Jr., whose record here at Michigan International Speedway is certainly impressive. He has 2 top 2 finishes in the past 3 starts. Now, because of a 150-point penalty handed to that team just a few weeks ago, Martin Truex is currently 16th in the point standings. However, I spoke with his interim crew chief, Mike Ricci this morning. He told me that until they're mathematically eliminated, they are going to continue fighting to get into the chase. Dave.
Shannon, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. before him, Mark Martin will be leaving this 8-car by season's end. And like Junior, he wants to get a win before that happens. They were close here in June at Michigan, but they ran out of fuel during the green-white checkered on the final lap and finished 30th or finished in the 20s that day. They had an awesome car at Pocono. They had issues on pit road. Tony Gibson, crew chief, this morning told me that they want to get that win for Mark. They want to get it for themselves. And then again today, they have a very good race car to get there. Jamie?
Well, Dave, it was 4 years ago at Michigan that Carl Edwards made his Cup Series debut. Bob Osborne was his crew chief that day and remains still today. Now, they sit second in points. That's the best in his career he's ever sat in the points. He won the nationwide race last night, said he has a car capable of winning today. Carl Edwards, well, they haven't clinched it yet, but they're going for wins. They're trying to close that gap on leader Kyle Busch. Mike?
Well, Jamie, Jeff Burton sits 5th in the standings and appears all but locked into the chase. Still, he comes into today's race looking for a bit of a spark. In his words, his cars recently have lacked speed, and the statistics certainly reflect that. Believe it or not, Jeff Burton has led only 11 laps since the beginning of April. He said, though, this weekend they've worked on their car repeatedly. They turned it from loose into a very good race car. He says the car he has this afternoon is the best car he's had at Michigan in as long as he can remember, Doc.
Mike, we got one of the best guys to go over the wall carrying a camera today. Alex the Animal Yunchuk, who's the front tire carrier for the 22 car of Dave Blaney. Alex out of Jordan, New York. And there are the guys that are going to be going across. We'll watch them up close and personal. Our race analysis, it is 200 laps, 400 miles on a 2-mile oval. Pit road speed 55. Ours the pit window. That's very critical today.
Yeah, and it's 38 to 42. But these guys, you know, it's no telling what they'll try to do here if they have to try to win this thing.
This race very important for the manufacturers in nearby Motor City, Detroit. All about bragging rights. Who will get it today? Fans on their feet. Glad to have you with us as the green flag waves at Michigan.
Dale Jr. is tucked up to that 48 and just pushed him by Brian Vickers through down the front straightaway.
That was risky. It looked to me like, I mean, you couldn't put a piece of paper between those two cars.
Boy, almost a mess right here. A couple of guys getting in the middle. Now they've got side by side. 66 car moving by.
Jimmy Johnson has got out front from that push from Dale Jr. We've seen this middle and high line work throughout the weekend here. We saw it work back in the first race, and then through the weekend watching these guys practice, that's where a lot of them wanted to run.
Yeah, a lot of times we see the groove on the bottom to start, and then it moves to the top. But yesterday we saw them in practice, a lot of cars already going to the top right off the bat.
DJ, is that a blessing or a bit of a curse, the fact that you've got so many options here in terms of grooves to pick from?
I think it's a good thing that you have that. As we see these guys spread out right here, this is what it's about. That's what these fans want to see, and as drivers, you'd like having all of those options.
Sam Hornish had to get out of the throttle coming off turn 2, and it kind of caused all these guys to get bottled up. See, now Sam's getting it going again.
Casey Mears was headed to Cleveland there. He came off turn 2, came all the way down across the racetrack, almost to the grass. How about Carl Edwards? He's coming on the inside, and Martin Truex is going to follow him.
Carl Edwards had the fastest car in happy hour. He's got a lot of cars to pass to get up front, but he's working the bottom of the racetrack pretty well.
Yeah, Martin probably saw that sheet too and knew he was fastest, so he's going to fall in behind him.
We mentioned the 77 car. Hornish, contact, there it is right there, right against the concrete.
Well, you don't want to hit that wall this early in the race. It can make for a long day.
Yeah, and Andy, we were talking just yesterday about how good a race he had here the first race. He had a chance to really win the race.
Yeah, I talked to him last night, actually, and he was pretty confident coming in here. I mean, he actually raced for the lead late in the race with Jimmy Johnson. Now, pit strategy kind of changed things at the end, but he had a great race car.
How about A.J. Allmendinger? You saw him making a move a moment ago. You talked in the countdown show. What a difference he has made. This team has had with a different crew chief.
Jimmy Elledge is, I've got a lot of history with Jimmy, and I got a lot of confidence in what he can do. And he's gone over there and really helped those guys a lot. They really like him, and I think this put a different chemistry in that team. And they're on the move. They're going the right direction.
Yeah, this is another team going the right direction too. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus really have their act together. Shannon?
Yeah, you guys were talking just a little bit ago about the different grooves on this racetrack. For Jimmy Johnson, his team told me that Jimmy traditionally likes to run on the bottom of the racetrack. But in on the track.
Jimmy Johnson led the most laps here back in June. Started 6th, finished 6th. Doesn't really indicate how good he was. They led 65 laps. Of course, that race determined by fuel mileage. And here comes the Michael Phelps of motorsports, Kyle Busch. How good is this young phenom been? 8 wins. Yeah, Phelps got 8 gold medals. This kid's been almost unbeatable after that comeback impressive performance last week at Watkins Glen.
He is certainly a star on the rise. This guy gets it done on the racetrack.
And we see him utilizing all of the racetrack. We saw him just a few minutes ago watching. He was passing cars on the high side, and in the middle, there he goes to the very bottom of the racetrack. Mike?
You know, DJ, as good as the 18 team has been, they've had real problems on Friday afternoons, and that was no different this week. The car was extremely loose. They couldn't figure it out. They had to go to work on it throughout the day Friday, throughout the day Saturday, finally got it right. But again, this team is very used to this. In fact, they've become accustomed to having difficulty on Fridays. So much, in fact, they've labeled Fridays Freaky Fridays. And there's been many times when they've struggled in day one and gone to victory lane. They're expecting the same today.
Yeah, they seem to get it figured out by Sunday. And I tell you, I was having dinner the other night with my family and Jimmy Makars, my brother-in-law, and he told me they knew when they got Kyle Busch there that they had a wheel man. There was no doubt about that, but they've been really impressed at how much Kyle knows about the race car and how much information he can tell them and things that he's looking for in his race car. So they got what they feel like is an added bonus with that young man.
Here is the driver, DJ, you said was going to keep an eye on today, Matt Kenseth in the 17. He is typically very good here and was very good here back in June.
Yeah, it just seems like this is a racetrack that fits his style. Matt's a guy that very calculating, and as a race driver, he doesn't necessarily have to charge the corners, but he lets his car roll, and that really helps when you're racing here because you have so much space to let that car roll and get back to the gas.
Here we go. Here's Junior going to the outside. Looks like Jimmy just let him have that.
Yeah, Junior had been catching him the last couple of laps.
Sort of a replay what we saw at Watkins Glen when Kyle Busch let Tony Stewart go by and get those bonus points. And we'll see if the 48 will go back by. But I think the fans approved, the Earnhardt Nation on their feet, like watching Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember what happened back in June? Earnhardt Jr. led 5 times for 14 laps, including the final 8. They did it on fuel mileage. He went 55 laps, and the 3rd generation driver was in victory lane when the day was done at Michigan.
Well, there's a pain in my side that I can trip.
In the early laps of the 3M Performance 400 at Michigan International Speedway, NASCAR Sprint Cup action. Jimmy Johnson led the first 7 laps. His teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led the subsequent 5. We are at lap 12, looking lap 13 of 200.
Junior has that high line working, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's the best at it, I think. He's one of those guys who can get up there and he can get that car so close to the wall and find that little extra grip sometimes.
One of the big questions this week was, would this 24 team bounce back? The disappointment, the frustration of a 29th place finish at Watkins Glen and the fact that they haven't won this year. Good to see this car up front and running well early on.
Yeah, and there they are. They're up front right now, and that's not really been the problem. They were up front in the early part of the race last week. Can they sustain it? Can they keep this thing going the whole race? That's going to be the question.
That is going to be the question. And I was talking to Jason Burdett, who was the car chief just the other day on Friday, and he was telling me that they're not exactly sure what's going on either. Is it bump stops and things that they're fighting because their car just seems to go away? Jamie, you have more?
I talked to Steve Letarte this morning, and he said they really pride themselves in this organization on not blowing off those bad finishes like last week, and they really go in and dissect what was wrong, what was happening with the car. And like you guys said, I mean, they're not exactly sure what's going on. All of a sudden they have a car that handles well, but they've lost speed, and that seems to be the problem. And right now Jeff Gordon complaining his car's getting real tight.
Jeff Gordon in 4th position. Behind him in 5th and 6th, Elliott Sadler and Patrick Carpentier. Good run for Elliott Sadler, an anniversary of sorts, his 300th career NASCAR Sprint Cup start. And he said the pressure, if you missed our countdown show, the pressure is on him because he is racing for a $1 million bonus that will help a lot of young children who are ill. That bonus going from sponsor Stanley to the Children's Miracle Network if he can pull off the win today. And DJ, I know he's got a very good car.
He's got a very good car. He was excited about that opportunity. And if you know Elliott, know how much he loves kids, then you know know this means a lot to him today. It'd be great for him to get to victory lane, but he would think more of it because of that money that would go to the Children's Miracle Network.
We asked Elliott about the strategy this team is planning ahead over the next few weeks.
Where we're at in points right now, we're not in any danger of falling out the top 35, so there's no need to be conservative. We're not in the chase, racing for every little point. You know, we want to get every point we can, yes, but our main goal is to try to win a race. If that means taking chances, that means trying a fuel mileage gain, doing off-sequence stuff as a race team to try to put ourselves in position in case something falls our way. That's our goal as a team.
I tell you, Elliott's got a great race car right now, but his teammate is right behind him here, has got a great race going also. Patrick Carpentier. See him right here. He's working the bottom of the racetrack, and he's right up here with all his Canadian fans waving him on. It's a great place for him to have a good run.
Yeah, we've seen him qualify exceptionally well all year. Every time he's got a chance to qualify that car, he's made the race, but he seems to fall off when they get to that race time, and that's the thing that he's having a hard time doing, is developing with these race cars. So, you can see these guys searching around. Elliott went back to the bottom of the racetrack to try to go. I know that's where he likes to run, but as you can see, Carpentier got a little bit loose coming off of turn 2, but right there with him.
See, Elliott's got his hand out the window. He's motioning Patrick by.
Yeah, this isn't the time that you're worried about giving up a spot, and he also can see exactly what his teammate's doing there that may help him a little bit.
Carpentier qualified in the top 10 for the 4th time this year, talking about the great runs he has had, what a wheelman he is. And here comes the points leader, Kyle Busch. Started back in 11th spot, has now gained 4 positions, moving in toward the top 5.
One thing that Kyle Busch can do better than most any of these drivers is to run on that right rear tire, Dale. He can hang that thing out and actually operate. You see it right there. He can operate that right rear tire at a higher slip angle than most of these other guys can do. And I think that is one of the keys to his success and how he makes his car go fast.
Yeah, when you talk to the guys on his race team, that's what they tell you. That's what he does when they go to test, that his car is yawed out more, and he's able to control it better than any of the other drivers.
Now you see this is the difference in the lines around the racetrack. Have a caution out, but you can see there's a different length of the lap if these guys run the high line versus the low line.
21 car, and a tough break for last week's Nationwide Series winner, Marcus Ambrose, who finished 3rd in the Cup race. And the Wood brothers, who have had so much success over the years at this racetrack, smoke billowing from beneath that Ford.
Yeah, and coming off his best finish, or the best finish for the Wood brothers in quite a while. That's too bad right there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and we didn't get back to them yet, but I can tell you a couple of guys that are glad to see a caution come out. They hoping they can beat some cars off of pit road as they go to work on this 21 to see what's happening there. But Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer were back in about an 8-car pack that I don't think they were having a lot of fun in, being in position of points that they were in. They were having their hands full there, so it'll be interesting to watch all of this develop as they see exactly what's wrong with this 21. Doesn't look like a good situation, and I hate that for Eddie and Lynn Wood and everybody in that organization.
Push the garage, push the garage.
Yeah, they were so pumped up. They really needed that run last week, and it got everybody in the organization pumped up. David Hyder, the new crew chief, they're so excited about what he is going to be able to do. That and DJ, that puddle under the car when they back it up, that's never a good sign.
Not a good sign there, is it, Andy? I'd say that's
nope, that looks
pretty terminal there.
They got a problem though. They're going to be in the way for these guys that are trying to make these caution flag pit stops. You can see the other crews want them to just stay right where you are. Don't push it.
DJ and Andy, I want to ask you, as you watch these guys run these different lines all over the racetrack, and I'll toss it up to you guys, do the different lines, is there any way you can save fuel during the race by running a different line?
Well, Brad, the low part of the racetrack is the shortest way around, and you don't have to use near as much throttle when you're running the bottom because you have to back off just a little bit earlier. You have to let it roll just a little bit. You can use more throttle up top, so if you're going to just make fuel mileage, you really need to run the bottom of the racetrack.
They've got to clean up pit road because of the oil from beneath the 21 car, so they will not be able to pit. We'll take a break and come back and watch what pit stops take place here. Back in a moment. Back in Michigan, under caution for the first time today. Aerial coverage brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Let's talk about the high line versus low line, a very wide racetrack. And Andy, you did a lot of calculations the last few days and showing, I guess if you run up up at the very top of the track. That's a lot of extra distance.
Well, it's not as much as I would have thought. I had some engineers working on it. Terry Satchel's one of the guys who used to work for me. He helped me a little bit and talked to Kevin Harvick's engineers to try to come up with some of these calculations. And it's about 150 feet per lap longer. So if you do that during a fuel run, you'll see you'd have to run an extra half a lap. You do that over the whole day, you've got to run about 5 miles longer. But, you know, it does impact fuel mileage, the high line versus the low line.
Yeah, I think that it can. I think there's another thought. If you're up there high, you can let your car roll a little bit further, and generally if you're running the high line, your car's a little bit freer and you're not having to turn the wheel as much, so you're not scrubbing off as much speed. So honestly, I'm not sure it matters where you run. I think that you're just going to have to figure out how to save fuel for yourself.
This leads us to our trivia question. We'll see if you have some people who are as good at math as Andy's friends are. If you put a string around the earth, which is 25,000 miles, and lifted it up 1 foot all the way around, how much longer would the string need to be? And folks, obviously we're trying to get at the fact that if you run a little higher on the racetrack, you're going to go more of a distance. 6 feet long.
Not as far as you thought, is it?
Everybody thought it was going to be, wow, it's going to be so much longer, but it really isn't.
It's actually 6.3 feet for all you engineers out there.
6.28 actually, but that's okay. Yeah, we are under caution here. Good job, Andy. Good. We're under caution here, and they have pit road closed because they're trying to clean up the oil. From beneath the 21 car, Marcus Ambrose, last week's third place finisher and winner of the Nationwide car at Watkins, Glen, the first in the garage area today. Back in Michigan under caution for the first time today, leaders Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Vickers, Jeff Gordon, Patrick Carpentier, and they should be headed for these guys here very shortly, coming down pit road at 55 miles an hour. We've had to close pit road because of some oil. They've used some oil dry up and down. That's the white powder you see there they've been trying to sweep up. And here they come off the racetrack for their first stop of the day. Let's go down to Dave.
Matt Kenseth has that feel to his car where it wants to crash from the rear end around, loose into the corner, loose off the corner. They're going to make a wedge and an air pressure adjustment. You see the crew going to work at the top of the screen.
Patrick Carpentier giving up the 5th spot on the racetrack to hit pit road. He's loose off the corner, especially under throttle. Crew chief Mike Shipley going to call for a 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel. Shannon?
Yeah, Mike, your race leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to take 4 tires. He says he's just a little bit tight getting into the turns. They're also going to wipe off that grill. He's about 235 on his water temp. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon explaining his car said tight about 5 times in explaining it. So there you go. He's tight a little bit loose on exit 4 tires. He's down and away.
Race off of pit road, Ryan Vickers, great job for those guys. They gained a couple of spots. Jimmy Johnson able to get down in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. as Jr. came in front of his teammate. Patrick Carpentier, Kyle Busch gaining a spot. Want to get up close and personal on pit stops? How about front tire carrier Brad Donahue out of Orange County, Virginia for Kyle Busch.
A lot of work going on in a short amount of time right here. Clean the grill, let it go.
Yeah, that's a nice job.
Kyle Busch, 23 years of age. We mentioned about young phenoms, 8-time winner this year. In racing, Kyle Busch is the phenom. Richard Petty is the legend. How about in Olympic sports? Well, no question there. Michael Phelps, 8 gold medals. What a great performance. Congratulations to Michael and the U.S. Olympic team. And, of course, Mark Spitz, the legend. He's the one that set the precedent with the 7 gold medal performance years ago.
Absolutely unbelievable athlete in Michael Phelps.
Yeah, what kind of feeling would it have to be as you saw his mother and sisters there, knowing that that's your brother there, considered the greatest Olympic athlete ever to be now.
And he was a major part of that win in the final relay, last night, because he had to swim his leg and be able to regain the lead and let the anchor leg take it to the goal, and he did it. And of course, Kyle Busch, everyone shakes their head at this young man's talent. 23 years of age, just like Michael Phelps, and 8 wins. And the question is, how many more is he going to win? And we're just past the halfway point. Still got a lot of races to go.
Yeah, he's not undefeated, but he's doing a pretty good job. I like his percentage in this sport. Normally, if you can win anywhere close to 10% of the time, you're doing pretty well in this.
There's A.J. Allmendinger in the pits. It looks like they're trying to make a minor repair to the front fender. Maybe had some contact on pit road coming in and out of his pits. That's where you see this a lot of times. These guys come out of their pit stall and catch somebody. Looks pretty good though. Looks like they got it fixed.
Why is it so important to make that, put that patch on the car? What does that do?
It's just the aerodynamics, Doc. You just have to have it right. If you don't have the right shape there, you can lose a ton of downforce. And I tell you, they don't make enough downforce already. You don't want to give up any.
No, you don't want to give up any. And it's amazing. We talked about how wide this racetrack is and everything, and pit road is relatively narrow. The pit boxes are pretty good size, but as they come off of pit road and you got a lot of cars on the lead lap, it gets pretty tight, and these things can happen.
The problem is that everybody wants to get out first.
Yeah.
There have been 3 lead changes among 2 leaders. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson have been the 2 leaders. And Jimmy Johnson will lead them back down to the green flag as we have 24 laps complete of 200. Working lap 25.
Looks like Patrick Carpentier got caught sleeping on that restart. Kyle Busch, now Jeff Gordon going around on the outside.
I don't know if he was just sleeping or Kyle Busch was ready to go. But
there's a big gap there between the top 3.
Right.
Carpentier pulls back up in front of his teammate, Elliott Sadler.
Well, there was a big gap. Here comes the 18 car down the backstretch.
There's Kurt Busch, who won this race last August on the 2 car on the bottom. Now right along with the 16 car, our in-race reporter, Greg Biffle. A little bit different line for Biffle. 24 car hanging tough there in 5th position. Jamie.
Well, right after that pit stop, Jeff Gordon was not a happy camper. For some reason, they were a little slow. The team didn't realize they were as slow as they were, and Jeff Gordon not happy. Talking to his team, this is what he said.
No, I don't have to tell you guys. I'm sure you're beating yourself up in there already. But that was a sorry pit stop. So let's get it together. You guys are the best out there. I know how good you guys can be. And if I did anything to hurt it, you need to let me know.
I like that.
Of course, and he's talking to his team. He's trying to keep them positive, though, letting them know you guys are the best out there. Let's get it together and get a faster pit stop next time around.
Yeah, that just tells me that guy wants to be up front. Now, he's not satisfied with anything but excellence, and that's what you expect.
Yeah, and what he's saying, if it was anything that he did that let him know, if he didn't get in and hit his marks, or if he was a little bit slow getting there, if he let the car roll just a little bit, that throws those guys off. So he's willing to take the blame if that was part of the problem.
And also saying, you guys, I know you guys can do better. If that's the best you can do to be different, but you guys can do a lot better. And obviously a lot of frustration there for the 27 race winless streak. 2nd spot.
He's got a good little hot rod here.
Yeah, he seems to be able to go to the bottom and top. He told me the other day he thought that he was going to run more on the bottom with their setup and everything this time than what he did here the first time. Of course, we saw him take the lead earlier, and he went to the very top of the racetrack, but it looks like his car's working everywhere.
He might run the bottom, but it'll surprise me if he stays there. Shannon?
Yeah, for Jimmy Johnson, your current race leader, he's battling some pre-off conditions, but says overall the car's pretty good. Now on that last pit stop, guys, 4 tires for that number 48, just a slight air pressure adjustment as well. So trying to get that car perfect for that number 48.
Yeah, if they look in their mirror, they can see a familiar sight other than they've been looking at the back of, as we see Dale Jr.
Yeah. I think he looked in the mirror and saw him coming and said, hey, gotta go.
Oops, gotta go by. Here comes the 18. Until Dale Earnhardt Jr. won here in June, Chevrolet had not won at this racetrack in 13 races back to 2001. It had been Dodge and Ford, so I think Chevy might have said, it's time for us to do something here, although Toyota has never won here. And these guys here running 3rd and 4th may be trying to change that today.
Yeah, I don't know if Kyle Busch saving any fuel running down there on that yellow line, but he's sure on the yellow line.
He is. He's eating it up.
Get him drive that thing all the way to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, a little risky. Jimmy getting on his bumper.
Now, do you really consider who you're racing if you cut it that close? Not everybody would you do that with, would you?
No, you wouldn't, no. And he knew that he could do that very move right there, especially at this point in time of the race. That might have been different if it were 30 laps to go or something, but at this point in time, Jimmy's car's a little bit loose. He wasn't going to do anything there.
There is the 24 car, Jeff Gordon. Another one of the 2-time winners. There are 11 drivers in the field today that have won here. He's one of them. Jamie?
Well, Doc, this is the left rear that just came off the 24 car. You can see here, huge chunk of rubber just separated. This is what they call the tread splice, and the team is telling me it's caused maybe from tire contamination. Maybe, Andy, you could follow up with that. What causes this?
is where the splice is on the tread rubber. They have to put that together. It's a belt, basically, that they wrap around the tire, and that's where the splice is. And it's got to be totally contamination-free to make that bond, and that's what that looks like. I don't expect to see any other problems developing from that. I think that's just a one-time thing, and probably wouldn't have caused a lot of problems. We'll see. I don't think that was a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's good that they had the caution to get that out of the way, but you're exactly right, Andy. And if everybody saw your feature with Goodyear, you told everyone how much that this was a human element that they put into it that in making these tires, and sometimes that does happen. And it only takes, they told me when I was up there before, it only takes just a little something to get in there that can create these problems. And obviously it's going to happen occasionally, but hopefully that'll be the one instance here today.
It kind of surprised me that it happens at all because they x-ray these tires, two different processes of x-ray.
Vickers taking third spot away. 83 going by the 48. And you're talking about creating problems. The 18 is going to try to create some problems up front for the 88. Oh, look at Biffle coming here. How about the 99 car of Edwards, who started back in 27th spot?
Check out Edwards. He had a good corner right there. Gained on Biffle. He's coming.
He told us after he won the nationwide race yesterday that he was excited about his car. He was fastest in happy hours, as we've documented already. But this shows just how good this team is. And these are the type racetracks that they've really been superior on this year.
He's gained 21 spots since the start of this race.
Yeah, he turned 29 years of age on Friday. Then he comes out and dominates the nationwide race yesterday, leading 5 times for 71 laps. And then now he is on the move from 27th spot.
You can really get that car down in the corner, and it rolls just right around the bottom.
What happened to Junior running the bottom, Dale?
Yeah, it didn't last very long, did it? He said he was going to do it more. We can see him moving up in front of Jimmy Johnson there.
34 of 200 laps are in the books. A week ago, Carl Edwards finished 9th and moved to 2nd in the point standings. He's trying to move in to the top 3 here at Michigan today.
As always, a ton of motorsports on the ESPN networks. NHRA Finals from Reading, Pennsylvania tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. NASCAR Now Late Night Michigan wrap-up 1 a.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast. NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable 5 Eastern tomorrow. Ray, Ricky Craven, and Mike Massaro join me to wrap up the weekend's events here in Michigan. And then next weekend at Bristol, Friday night the Nationwide Series race 7:30. Saturday night the Sprint Cup Series race presented by Pennzoil Platinum 7 Eastern Time. Those on ESPN. We got it all coming up over the coming week. Now, we talked a lot on NASCAR Countdown about the bubble drivers in the race to the chase, and a lot of them starting way in the back. Where are they running in the race right now? Well, for the most part, some of them have made some pretty good progress.
Yeah, it looks like Kevin Harvick's on the move. He's moved himself up a few points and has a good run going today. Matt Kenseth looks poised to have a great run today, so I think those two guys are going to have a good evening as it rounds.
You know, I've been watching the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, just a little bit, guys, and he's moved up 11 positions, but he's almost a second slower than the leader right now. So, I mean, he's not looking good for speed. He has picked up his spots on the track, so we have to continue to watch these guys. This racetrack has continued to get real slick. The guys running on the bottom, the middle, and the top like we predicted, so we'll check it out.
No question, Kevin Harvick's been the biggest mover among the bubble boys early. Watching Matt Kenseth. Dave, what's going on with that 17?
Well, and guys, he sets up his car to run anywhere. Even though the top line may be the quickest, he knows he'll have to pass guys on the bottom line, so they worked on that all weekend. Unfortunately, they made that air pressure and wedge adjustment on the last stop. The car is looser than it was before, so they're going to have to take a bigger swing at it next time for Penson. As for Kevin Harvick, he's picked up 6 positions since the restart. They made a change to that car to try to give him more rear grip. His car was loose as well. That also was a wedge and air pressure adjustment, and they have moved forward. As to their bad qualifying lap, I think Kevin probably told you earlier, they don't know why that happened, but they're racing better now.
Started 38th, and you see the scoring serial on Kevin Harvick there. He's all the way up to 14th position. Running there with another one of the Bubble boys, David Reagan.
David Reagan's getting ready to put himself in a good position. He's been so consistent the last 10 races. Had a couple of races where he had some bad luck, but I still think David is poised to strike. If he can get a good finish today, stay up around that top 15, possibly get into the top 10, he goes into next week with a great opportunity.
I tell you, the Roush guys always run strong right here, and he needs to tap off of Jack Roush and all the knowledge that his teammates got and bring home a good finish right here in Michigan, because this could be a big, big day for David Reagan if he keeps this baby going the way he's going right now.
So some of the Bubble boys trying to move their way forward, Doc, and catch up with those guys up front.
Thank you, Alan. And guys, then who they're chasing up front, just like it was back in June. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led twice, now for 30 laps as he comes by. And let's check in his pits with Shannon Spade.
Yeah, Doc, I told you on that last pit stop, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s water temperature was a little high. Well, it's not getting any better. This is the radio that he just radioed into Tony Erie Jr.'s crew chief.
I got a big problem. The water temp is at 260. The oil temp is 300.
So team members were just out on the wall with some binoculars trying to check out that car on the track. And as you can see right now, Tony Erie Jr. just trying to figure out what to do. We'll keep you up to date on the issues down here in the 88 pit stall.
Well, that is a huge problem. That water temperature is right on the borderline, if not just over it. I'd be very concerned about this. I'm sure Tony Erie is going to think about maybe getting him in early.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. We saw him flip and switch, and sometimes if you think you have something on the grill, you can turn your radiator fan off and on a couple of times, and it may get it to fall off. So I think that's probably what Junior was doing right there. As we see a battle for second. Not much of a battle right now. Brian Vickers is taking it over from Kyle Busch.
Last 4 laps, Vickers has been the fastest car on the racetrack. He has run laps faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr. So Vickers, who led 44 laps here in June, had a very good race car back in June. Ended up bringing it home in 4th position. Now on the move, trying to reel in the 88 car.
Getting back to that thing with Junior on the grill, if turning that switch off can help that, but what will work is if he can get up behind another car and turn that fan off, it might float that off of there, but he'd have to get right up next to another car, and he doesn't have anyone in front of him right now.
Hey, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm looking at the grill. Take a look at it right there. It's blocked up pretty good. There's a lot of debris on that grill, and it's not going to blow off Andy and Dale. I think this guy's going to have to pit this car or be risking blowing an engine up. And in championship hunt, I don't think he wants to go for that right now, guys.
And again, Rusty, for people who are watching from home, it's at the top of the splitter. The actual opening is not where it says Impala SS. It's down below that at the top of the splitter, that little line where exactly the air comes in. Now, for more on those switches that he was trying to flip inside, let's go down to our Chevy cutaway car and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. The switch panel he's got, folks, is right here. This is the ignition switch, second ignition switch. He's got the switch right here. He can actually cut that fan off. But cutting the fan off is only part of the method. He's got to pull the car right up in behind that other car, stop the airflow, and hopefully the material will come off the grill because there's dead airspace right there. DJ?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tim. A lot of things you can do, but where his problem is, I don't think there's anything they can really do. Sometimes you could back off and get behind another car and try to help that. But where this is, that seems to be one of the problems these guys have with this particular car, is that's where the trash seems to want to go, and it doesn't come off nearly as easy as if it were on that outside part. So be interesting to see what they were doing. Rusty was talking about the championship battle. Well, they're pretty much locked in as far as the chase goes, so they might be saying, hey, let's see if we can make it until.
It might actually be worth the gamble. Just stay out there. If he just could find another car here, that you can see there's nothing in front of him. Brad Coleman is the first car that he's going to catch, but he's out there a good ways. If he could catch him and get right up behind him and turn that fan off, he might get that piece off.
What a difference a year makes for Dale Earnhardt Jr. In 2008, the win came here at Michigan. 7 top 5s. He has yet to have a DNF. No, we're not trying to jinx him. We hope we don't. And he is 4th in the points. He was 2nd until that disappointment at Watkins Glen a week ago. 50 laps complete here in the 3M Performance 400 at Brooklyn, Michigan International Speedway. And we now have our 3rd leader of the day, Brian Vickers. And his Toyota has gone by the 88 car. And the grill looks like being passed by Vickers might have helped Dale Jr.
Well, what they did, they backed up. They backed up to the 83 car, let Brian Vickers go. And right as they made this pass, I saw a little flash of that paper coming off of there, and the next shot we had, you could see the grill was clear. I believe I just saw a little flash right there, and now if you look at the grill, it looks like it's gone.
Yeah, definitely when he comes off of this corner, it's gone. So they should be in a lot better shape now. Shannon?
Yeah, the temperature, I told you guys before he was able to get the tape off the grill, was about 260, and it has lowered. It's now down to 240. So Tony Jr. just telling Dale Jr. to get out in that clean air, try to get it cooled down. They are planning on pitting around lap 62 under green.
Yeah, 240 is manageable. I wouldn't worry a bit about that. They can just go back on their game plan.
That probably means that maybe he's about 245. You usually, as a driver, you're not giving them the total what it is. You don't want to scare them to death.
No, you guys wouldn't fudge the truth, would you?
Well, you know, you don't want to come in leading the race, so you know, it probably was 265 or 270. He just wasn't going to say that because they would have automatically come in.
Now, you know, when he pulled up behind, you see these two right here, Carl Edwards going by Kyle Busch. There's a sweet spot right behind that car where there's just basically a vacuum, total vacuum. And you kind of illustrate it right here. You see after they make this pass, Junior's trying to just get this car right in that hole where there's no velocity of air right on that grill. And then that piece of paper has a chance to float right off of there. See, he's just going for that vacuum right there. Right in that hole is where he was trying to place his nose.
And it vacuumed that hot dog wrapper right off the front of the car.
Yeah, that air is pretty amazing. The things that you can do and make it work, and you know, you can mess up guys by never touching them or anything, and you can also do things like that. And
but you know what
I know that he backed up somewhere, but
look at this right here though. That piece came off the grill, and now he's losing some downforce. He's losing a little speed. He can't catch Brian Vickers.
It looks like you're clean there. Just give it a little time. Try to get her cool back off. Yeah. 240. Gauge is blue. All right, careful, but just stay there in some clean air and get her cool back off, and then we can go back racing.
There you have it. Now instructions from Tony Eury Jr. Stay back there and get some clean air in that grill.
Yeah, he just wants to give the motor a rest. And you heard him say that the gauge is blue. They've got some little lights in these gauges. Some cool little deals that when the temperature is out of range where they want it, it'll actually turn yellow and red. And now it's back in the blue, meaning everything's good.
Our Wrangler telemetry shows you him just touching the brake there.
See how he goes back to the throttle. He's just giving it quarter throttle here. Now he's wide open. As these tires wear, you see that they're having to really baby that throttle, even though this track is huge. They still struggle for grip here off the corner.
Wow, 203 miles an hour entering turn one. Still boggles my mind. You can run 200 miles an hour lap, and it all comes down to fuel mileage at Michigan. They're chasing Brian Vickers. Back in a moment. Aerial coverage of our leader, Brian Vickers, brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Boy, how much would Brian Vickers like to be able to get back into victory lane? Only has one career win, that coming at Talladega back in October of 2006. He has now led the last 11 laps as we are moving in on green flag pit stops.
Brian Vickers knows something about this racetrack. This looked like what he did yesterday in the Nationwide Series race.
Yeah, Brian likes to run his car pretty free, and that's good, especially if you're going to run high. You've got to have it to do that. Jamie?
Well, DJ, Kevin Hamlin is crew chief. I asked him about that this morning, and he said, you know, Brian just knows how to move a car around to make it faster, to find the optimum grip, and that's what we've seen with Brian Vickers today. I also asked him what the difference is with these Red Bull cars this year. He said, when we went to Charlotte for the test in April, we hit a turning point. The biggest point, we build our chassis in-house. This car that Brian is driving is a first-generation COT for the Red Bull Racing team. Before, they outsourced their chassis. Now, this is their personal cars, and it's turning around, guys. He's qualified for all 22 races so far this season.
I really like what these guys are doing. They're constantly getting these cars better and better. I talked to Brian Vickers' dad, Clyde Vickers, in the garage area, and he was just talking about that, how these guys are really moving that program forward.
You mentioned yesterday he finished second here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race after leading twice for 17 laps. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. He, Vickers, and the other leaders pitted on lap 24. We are hearing that That 62 to 64 would be their range to come on pit road for the green flag stop. Single file here in the first 60 laps, getting a bit stretched out. Big news this week for Tony Stewart. Made the announcement that Ryan Newman would be his teammate in 2009 for Stewart Haas Racing. Made the announcement Friday morning.
Basically a half a lap down. You see, boy, he's struggling a little bit there with the back, the rear end there kicking out a little bit loose.
Yeah, they seemed to struggle a little bit in practice yesterday. I was watching their car.
That car looks real loose.
Yeah, it seemed to be exactly what they were fighting, and this seems to be kind of a common theme with them here recently.
Yeah, he started 21st, only has moved up to 17th position. Vickers is the leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in second spot. Green flag stops coming here momentarily. Back in third position, coming all the way from 27th starting spot, yesterday's winner, Carl Edwards. See something may come out of the window there, pulling down.
That looks like either an ice bag or a water bottle. That he was finished with that. He didn't want to contaminate the racetrack for the other guys. He just pulled. That was kind of polite. Pull down to the bottom and throw it out.
Mike.
And Ryan Newman on pit road right now, complaining the car's a little bit loose. No grip whatsoever. He wants 3 rounds out of the right rear. Also a 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel for Ryan Newman. Really trying to tighten that car up.
So Ryan Newman couldn't wait any longer. He came in when the window was available to get that car tightened up out here. We've seen some guys slipping and sliding. We're just talking about his future teammate Tony Stewart sliding around. Here comes Sam Hornish down pit road.
Juan Montoya. Paul Menard pulling in his stall.
And the 00 being driven by Mike Skinner coming in place of Michael McDowell today. There comes Greg Biffle, the 2-time Michigan winner, our in-race reporter, coming down for his first green flag stop. Mike.
And Biffle rolling down to his stop. He says he needs to be just a little bit tighter. They're calling for an air pressure adjustment, a 4-tire change, and fuel on the 16 car as the team now goes to work on the right side. Also, you'll see a chassis adjustment on the left side of that car as they really try to help Greg Biffle out. Dave?
Matt Kenseth cannot get on the throttle the way he wants to. Car's still loose, a little tight in the middle. They'll go back on some adjustments, and he is off.
Carl Edwards coming down. David Reagan is in. Bobby Labonte. Others. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming down, getting lowered down to 55 miles an hour. Tony Eury Jr. waiting on Dale to come in. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, Dale Jr. just needs a little bit of help off the turns. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. That water temp has come down a little bit more. Right now it is 230 degrees, so everything's looking good for that 88 car. 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And Carl Edwards started 27th, worked his way all the way up to 3rd. Lightning fast first pit stop, 12.3 seconds. He said he just needs to snug it up a little bit. He's a little too loose. They're putting 4 tires and fuel. He's down and away. Dave?
What they did last time for the 29 car, air out of the right rear, down to the track bar for Kevin. And the last change didn't help as much as they wanted it to. That was the comments from them. He's finished on pit road.
Whoa, contact in the pits. On pit road at 22 of Dave Blaney into the side of the 41 of Reed Sorensen. Let's go down to Mike and the Kyle Busch.
And Doc, Kyle Busch started the race out pretty loose, but it's gotten a little bit tighter. So for the second stop in a row, they're going to add a spring rubber, this time to the left rear, trying to help out Kyle Busch. He's away.
Well, if they got a spring rubber in that thing in 13 seconds, they're pretty good.
83 car exiting. Brian Vickers, our leader. Here's Jeff Gordon. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon, see if they get a faster pit stop. Remember, he was extremely frustrated with how slow they were. 15.7, still a little slow for the 24. 4 tires, no changes, guys.
Jeff's got some of that DuPont paint rubbed off the right side of his car. Maybe got up against somebody or against the wall.
I think it's just one coat. Looked like maybe he took one coat of paint off on the wall. No dents, just a little bit of scrape.
Just a clear coat.
He's getting all there is out there.
Guys, once these pit stops started happening, this looked like a caution flag pit stop because everybody was hitting pit road at the same time. I guess they don't want to give up. Everybody was looking to get there as quick as they could because a lot of these cars just aren't handling very well.
Every one of them were loose that we heard. I've never heard that many cars say they were loose or drivers say they were loose at this racetrack.
Now, I thought typically the history of this track was as the race progressed, they got tighter and tighter.
Well, that's why I brought that question up with Greg Irwin at the beginning of the show, is because that's what the racetrack typically does, but it didn't do that yesterday in the nationwide race, and today we see the same thing happening.
With the cycling through of the pit stops, Dale Earnhardt Jr. now back as the leader on lap 68. Told you there was some interesting contact in the pits, and it does get close in a hurry down there. Let's go down to Alex Animal Janchuk, who's the tire carrier for Dave Blaney.
Go in and get this Buckeye boy pitted. Get him out quick as we can. Nice. There we go, coming back from the left side. And what we got right now is we're having a great right front side. And we're money. Here we go, bud.
We're money, guys. Good stop.
They might have wished they'd have been a little bit slower there, though, because that put them right out as the 41 was coming in, and all of that happened right in front of Kyle Busch. But doesn't look like it's hurt Dave Blaney's car much.
He's got a little damage to the right front fender right in the front. The biggest problem he has is Dale Earnhardt Jr. is coming up behind him right here.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a leader. There are currently 36 cars on the lead lap, and there are 6 one lap down. The only car out, Marcus Ambrose, in the garage area. Back in a moment.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at the Michigan International Speedway under green with 72 of 200 laps complete. Of course, we're just 70 miles southwest of Detroit, the home area for Ford and Dodge and Chevrolet. And our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge for today: which car manufacturer do you think is going to win today's race? Toyota, Chevy, Ford, or Dodge? To play, text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and send in your answer. We will show you the results later in the race. Standard text rate applies. Right now it's a Chevrolet leading a Ford and a Toyota, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading Carl Edwards and Brian Vickers. Rusty, Brad, some notable things early in the race from you so far?
I guess one thing I'm noticing right now, guys, is Carl Edwards in her number 99 car. He started 27th. He's worked himself all the way up in the second position.
Not anymore. Just took the lead.
Oh, just took the lead. Now, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, obviously. You know, this guy, it's just been tremendous. He won the race yesterday, understands this racetrack. Brad, one other thing that's standing out in my mind also, boy, the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr., he skirted a big-time bullet with that engine overheating.
Yeah, he really did, and it looks like he's rock solid and set up for a good opportunity to do the sweep this year. But I tell you what, Jimmy Johnson took a big hit, it looks like, as he came out of the pits there. He's bounced all the way back tonight. He had a great run going early. Looked like he was going to be able to challenge, but he's slowed up in traffic a little bit back behind Elliott Sadler. He's got a fast race car, but he's not advancing for him.
Yeah, something in that long green flag run didn't agree with the 48 car, and something's not agreeing with this 88 car right now. That's first to third in a lap and a half. The car wiggling around a lot.
It acts like a tire or something's going down on that race car. The way it was dancing around a little bit.
Or he's trying to feel something out. And you know what it always is? You come off pit road after a stop, and the driver says, I got a vibration. Yeah. Shannon, what's on that 88 radio?
Yeah, Alan, right now he's just saying that car is so loose. He says he needs more air pressure in that right front. Just not happy with the handling of the car.
All right, well, we'll see how far back Junior falls. But from first to third, pretty quickly there, Doc.
Lap and a half, he loses the lead and then loses a second spot. Watch the wiggle in the back of the 88 car here.
Wow, that's more than a wiggle right there. That's a power slide.
Yeah, and talking to these guys from the first race, they saw a little bit of inconsistency as they changed just tires. Didn't make any adjustments on their car, but as the day went on, they found a little bit of that happening, and your car could go from being pretty good to all of a sudden so loose that you couldn't drive it. And it looks like that might be the case with Dale Jr.
Now you can look at this shot right here of Greg Biffle. You can see the car in front of him. I think that's Junior that he is sideways. You can see how that rear end just keeps stepping out.
That's a terrible feeling here because you are running fast. We've documented that you're running over 200 miles an hour down into these corners, and you have to carry a lot of speed. And if you get over that edge of being loose, then it can create a lot of problems and a lot of stress for the driver.
Yeah, he is now running laps in the 43-second bracket, which is 0.6 of a second slower than the leaders and these cars that are moving in on him.
Yeah, and just to give you an example, his last lap before he pitted, and he had almost 40 laps on his tires before, was 43.04. So yeah, he's at 43.14 now, and only has a handful of laps on these tires.
Wow, look at that right there. That's loose.
Yeah, that's when you're begging for a caution, and it's not you right there.
Yeah, if he's not careful, it will be him.
I tell you one thing I'm noticing, guys, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is one of the kings of running up high, but the last couple laps, he's went to the bottom because he's so loose, he might slide up and hit the wall. He's so loose. As soon as that fuel burns off, he should get a little bit tighter and better, but right now, this guy's definitely holding on for dear life, trying to find out what lane he wants to run.
DJ, you mentioned how the car can just abruptly change and go from neutral to loose. I mean, he only pitted 12 laps ago.
Yeah, but it's just that, you know, certain sets of tires, and this isn't anything negative to Goodyear. It's just, as we know, they're handmade, and sometimes tires just don't match up to what you have, and certain matchups just don't work for you. It might have just a little bit more stagger or something like that, but it doesn't take much to make that car be just almost undrivable, and that's what we see Junior. And he's been running the middle and the bottom whenever he comes back out on new tires.
Wow.
And you see him now up on top. That's where he was so good earlier, and now he's got his hands full up there.
We heard Rusty talking about how this should improve as the fuel burns off. So why don't we show you how it all works? We got our ESPN Tech Center, Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. Folks, this is a piece of tungsten right here. This piece weighs 35 pounds. When this fuel cell's full right here, it weighs 140 pounds. Now, as you take this weight and it burns off fuel, it actually goes up here to the front tires and increases the nose weight. And it's not necessarily the nose, it's the front axles that gets heavy. That's the reason when you burn the fuel off the rear of the car, it increases nose weight. That's the reason the car tightens up.
Tim, it actually does change the balance on the car by lightening the back of the car and letting more weight be on the front. And obviously that, as Rusty mentioned, will drastically change the handling of the car.
Yeah, that, Dale, you know, you talked about how the set of tires may have made him looser. That full tank of fuel may have had more effect on this race car than even the tires because, you know, he was pretty good. His car was pretty good, and then they put that full tank of fuel in and a new set of tires, and here he is loose. I think the racetrack is actually loosening up on these guys, and it's not what it usually does.
Yeah, talking to these guys, the first race here, they didn't experience what you normally do with the racetrack tightening up, as we see a battle between Jimmy Johnson and David Reagan, who, again, we've documented a lot of just how good this young man is and what a great job he's done in his second year. He's got himself still there in a position, as we see him going around the outside of the 48 car, that he could still get himself in the chase, and just a really good job by this race team and young driver.
David Reagan trying to bounce back from that huge disappointment at Watkins, Glen, a 30th place finish a week ago. And when you can race and pass the defending and two-time Cup champion, you know you're having a pretty good day.
He's determined to do everything he can to try to put himself in this chase.
One more spot backwards for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he slides back into the 5th spot. Kyle Busch moves to 4th. They are chasing Carl Edwards, who has come all the way from 27th starting spot, trying to get his 2nd career win at Michigan. Right now, he's leading them all, backing them all.
Yeah, he got loose and took you out. He wasn't nothing to do with you.
Back in Michigan under caution, scary moment for Dave Blaney just a moment ago. Contact with the 12 car of Ryan Newman, and Blaney's car comes up off the racetrack. They were in the back straightaway, 195 plus miles an hour. Blaney on the bottom. There's Carl Edwards behind him, the leader. That's the contact with Menard first into Newman.
Boy, yeah. Blaney just got blindsided on that move there.
Yeah, nothing he could do. The 15 got into the back of the 12, and that turned him down into Dave Blaney.
Well, it still looked like the 12 car was sideways when Paul actually made contact. You see the 12 car come off the corner. It looks like he's out there pretty good, and then Paul catches the back.
Well, look at Carl Edwards, the leader, right behind this mess. He had to come all the way down on the inside on the apron area.
He got a good view of that one.
Wow. Blaney's car got up and popped the roof. Right there. Scrapes the wall and comes right back down. Those roof flaps.
Yeah, he was really lucky he was right against the wall there. That's the only thing that kept that car from turning over. And the roof flaps. They're doing their job.
Everything worked.
Pit road will be open, and boy, I'm sure Dale Earnhardt Jr. didn't mind seeing this caution flag come out to the kind of bear he's been wrestling out there in the 88 car.
Yeah, they'll be spinning some screws on that race car when he gets in.
Yeah, one guy that seems like they have their car better is Jeff Gordon, who had driven his way back to 4th.
Let's go down to Dave Burns.
Matt Kenseth gives up 7th position. Rear tire changer Dave Smith will pull a spring rubber out of the rear spring. They'll also make a track bar adjustment. This car is loose and twitchy, according to the driver. Mike.
Greg Biffle pretty happy with his race car, talking with his crew chief about adjustments. He says don't change much, just need a little bit more rear grip, just a slight air pressure adjustment on the 16, Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, Dale Earnhardt Jr. radioed in and said fix this car. Air pressure track bar, 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to try to tighten him up. Jamie.
Carl Edwards had as much as a 2.5-second lead on the field. He's going to take 4 tires. He wants to be snugged up just a little bit. That means an air pressure adjustment, and he's down and away, guys.
Race off of pit road. Edwards holds a position. Biffle's guys do a great job getting up a spot. Vickers back to Earnhardt Jr. in spite of the adjustments of the track bar. And air pressure gain a couple of spots in the pits. Tony Uri Jr. and company getting it done. David Reagan. How about Jimmy Finning and those boys getting Reagan out in the top 7?
This was a close one off pit road right here. You see Carl Edwards just nipping these guys right off the line.
88 just beating the 18. And there comes David Reagan, who gains some spots with good pit work by Jimmy Finnig and the Roush Fenway group. Under caution for the 2nd time today.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Michigan is brought to you by Allstate. Are you in good hands? Las Vegas, crazy time calls for crazy fun. Go to visitlasvegas.com. And by Tinactin. Get boom, tough actin, Tinactin. Let's check out our Allstate good hands move of the race. Carl Edwards missing the wreck.
Man, I'll tell you what, look at this. He's just in a dart left, barely missing Ryan Newman. Pull in right behind him, right to the bottom of the racetrack. That was a winning strategy. A guy going for a championship got lucky there.
Absolutely. Got to have a bunch of those.
Carl, the leader at the time, and Allstate will donate $1,000 to the Urban Youth Racing School on behalf of Carl Edwards. Time for the restart.
Let's visit with our in-race reporter before we go back to green. DJ?
Hey, Greg Biffle, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
I got you, DJ.
Hey, bud, up in 2nd spot now. We know you have a good race car, but how's the track changed to this point?
It keeps going back and forth. One run we're real loose, one we're real tight, but mostly just slick. Real slick. Feels like we're at Old Darlington or something before they repaved it. It's hard to get a hold of. Just don't overdrive the corner, I've learned here in the last little bit. That's really helped my straightaway speed.
All right, looks like you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thanks, DJ.
Greg Biffle putting it in perspective. Don't overdrive the corner. You heard drivers all weekend talking about this track and been here a long time. They love the fact that you can drive all over this racetrack, but the asphalt is not new, and there's a lot of slipping and sliding out there.
Yeah, and that might seem like a pretty simple thing. He just said don't overdrive the corner, but it's so easy to do that. You see all of that space out there, and you know you have banking that could help you, but it's a pretty simple thing, and sometimes you just keep learning throughout the day. Jamie?
Well, DJ, the 24 came in 4th, and he's being shown as 15th. Now they dropped some lugs on that front again. Frustrating stop. Steve Letarte, crew chief, came down, huddled the guys together, and said, "You're better than this. We need to get better, guys. Let's do it."
And Jeff Gordon has done it on the racetrack, Jamie. Good point. He had driven that car all the way back up in the 3rd spot or 4th spot, going for 3rd when the caution came out. Got to be very frustrating for Steve Letarte, Rick Hendrick, and the guy driving the car, Jeff Gordon. Here they come to the green flag. Carl Edwards, who won yesterday, had driven from 27th starting spot to the front of the field. Behind him his teammate Greg Biffle, then Vickers, then Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're going to see if those adjustments on the 88 car are going to help what was a handful for him a while ago.
When you start getting lap cars, these restarts get really hairy. And we saw Jeff Gordon back there. But not only was he back in 15th, but he had about 8 or 9 lap cars. So that puts you even further back, more cars that you have to pass.
See Jeff Burton, the 31 car, right going by. That's the 00. That's Mike Skinner. And there's Elliott Sadler. That is for position. And here comes, guess who again? Kyle Busch inside the 83. That would be for 4th position.
Kyle's car looks like it's really good on new tires, and as they run on,
whoa, got some smoke out of Jimmy Johnson's car.
Contact was her teammates that got together and rubbed a little bit. He's got a fender rub. There's McMurray going by. You see Jeff Gordon just going by. Harvick, as Jimmy Johnson is sliding backwards.
And he's got a major problem right here.
Up front, Biffle goes by and takes the lead away from his teammate, Carl Edwards. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson got a left front tire going down completely and rubbing. He's got to get on pit road. Let's show you what happened as he slows down. Watch the contact in the pack. 24-48. Oh, Stewart on the outside.
Wow, they were 4 wide there. There's just, I mean, we talk about this as a wide racetrack, but sometimes you're just running out of room.
Yeah, this is not, I wouldn't say it's anybody's fault.
Clear high behind the 20.
There's only so much room off that corner.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily what you want your spotter to be saying. You're 4 wide. Shannon?
Yeah, guys, as you can see, they're going to go to work on that car, try to fix that damage. Now, Jimmy Johnson's really been struggling with this car. It has been loose all day long. This is one team that was expecting this track to tighten up, and it just has not for this team.
Jimmy Johnson will lose a lap in the pits. Now there are 33 cars on the lead lap, and he is one of 7 cars a lap down. Carl Edwards has gone back around to take the lead, and now look who's in 2nd spot.
Yeah, Biffle went from the lead to 3rd. I don't know what happened there. Biffle's leading the race. Everything looks good so far.
I think Carl might have looked in his mirror to saw an 18 coming.
Yeah, here comes the 18 car. He just had a good run off that corner.
Yeah, Greg just got a little bit high. It looked like he couldn't get back to the throttle, and it really looked like it was magnified by these 2 guys having great corners. Kyle Busch is on the move, though. And he's back on the bottom of the racetrack. We know that they've been adjusting on this car every single time and trying to make it a little bit better, I think, in the longer runs, but it's really fast in the short runs. Mike?
And DJ, you're absolutely right. The work they've been doing here is because the car has been extremely loose, and that's kind of funny to hear Kyle Busch say, considering how much he likes to drive a loose race car. But just before that last round of pit stops, he radioed in saying he could hardly hold on to it when he gets into the throttle. They made a wedge adjustment to the left rear, and he seems much more comfortable with the car right now.
Kyle Busch has led 1,131 laps this year. He is 1st among laps led. He is 1st in points. And we asked him about the pressure of being number 1.
I mean, every week you just kind of go out there and try to run your own race and do your own thing and get your car as fast as you can. There's really not a whole lot of pressure that's put on ourselves that comes about with our competitors. We know that we're being chased by those guys, but we're also chasing some other guys. So as long as we know that we're out there, that we're having to chase some guys and learn some more things and get our cars faster, then you know, it's not easy as it looks.
Andy, the question is, as good a year as he's had, 8 wins, and he's obviously going to be in the chase and probably has the number 1 seed in the chase over the next 3 races until the chase begins. Do you change anything? Do you do some R&D, or do you just stay with the foot on the floor and go with what you've been doing?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you try some things, especially if you have some things that you think is going to work, and that may be risky, but if you're going to do that, now's the time to do it. Find out what's going to work, you know, and get you another win or 2. And if you find some good things that work, it'll really pay off on those last 10.
Yeah, you say it so casually. Get you another win or 2.
Well, you know this guy's going to win some more races. I mean, he's winning like every 3rd race or something, every 4th race.
Right now, he is chasing the 99 of Carl Edwards. Jamie?
Carl Edwards wants to change that. He wants to get another win here. You guys are talking about, you know, coming back to this racetrack. Do you stick with the same or change it up? Well, because they're 2nd in points, Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne, his crew chief, decided to bring a different car here. This is a 4th generation COT. It has the newest and greatest bells and whistles, but they also said that they're running a different setup from their teammates, which is Greg Biffle, who's 2 spots behind Carl Edwards. So they're trying something new, and they have the room to do it. Caution on the track, guys.
24 car.
Yeah, this is probably from the same contact that put Jimmy Johnson in the pits under green.
Well, he did not need this. Remember, he's back in 6th in the points in that ever-enlarging bubble area.
Yeah, he's got some damage. He's hit the wall. These guys got some work to do here. Oh, he's got big time damage here.
Yeah, garage.
They're gonna have to go to the garage to fix this.
Remember, lap 90, if you just joined our coverage, there was the 20 car on the outside against the 48, against the 24. That produced the unscheduled stop for the cut tire for Jimmy Johnson, and possibly that's where this happened with the 24 car. Now, top of your screen, let's see if we can watch. There he is right there. Oh.
Yeah, there must have been a fender rub there that cut that right front tire.
That's the worst kind when it's really not smoking. It wasn't showing anything. We see from Kevin Harvick's view right here. Worst place for the tire.
And here's what we're talking about back on lap number 90. As they were 4 wide, right side of your screen, there's Tony Stewart.
Side, 4 wide now, 4 wide. 4 wide.
That put Jimmy Johnson in the pits the next lap. And now we have a caution with Jeff Gordon hitting the wall. That's too bad for these guys.
Jeff Gordon will head to the garage area. Remember, entering today, only 148 points separating Jeff Gordon from the 13th spot outside the chase. It's that tight. With just 3 races remaining after today. Leaders head for pit road. Dave.
David Reagan will give up the 7th position. The pit crews helped him all day on pit road. They'll help him again. Only 2 right side tires, no adjustments. Mike.
Dave, last time down pit road, Kyle Busch, they put 2 rounds of wedge in the left rear, also looking for a quarter more turn and just 2 tires on the 18, Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, air pressure and wedge adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Car still needs a little bit of grip. 2 tires for the 88. Jamie.
Carl Edwards said his car was just a little freer that time. 2 tires, right sides only for the 99 Carl Edwards.
Also only 2 tires for Greg Biffle, and they will gain a spot in the pits, as did Ryan Vickers. Bobby Labonte comes sailing down and had to dodge a couple of cars trying to get into his pit stall. Not sure he was able to get into his stall, so that's why they add the plus 23. He had to go on through. Jeff Burton back 3 spots. Back with a restart in a moment.
Halfway through today's race in Michigan, we talked about the race to the chase and Jeff Gordon being back in the danger zone starting the day. He was 6th. Right now he's in the garage, and he would only be, as they run now, 67 points to the good heading to Bristol. Mike?
And Alan, Jeff Gordon just took a peek at the replay. What'd you see?
Well, originally I thought that I ran right into him because you know, my spotter didn't say anything till the last second. He said 2 cars on the outside instead of 3 wide. But you know, ultimately, you know, I mean, we're responsible because our pit stops have just been terrible today. You know, we finally get an awesome race car, and we just didn't have the total package today, and it's very disappointing. It's kind of been the way our season's gone. When we get the pit stops awesome, then we can't get the car right. So, you know, what are you going to do? I just hate that got the 48 involved. You know, we always try to have a lot of respect for one another out there, and you know, it got really dicey there on that restart, and we were 3 and 4 wide, and you know, my car was really good, rolled through the middle there, and I guess Tony got to the outside of the 48. And even with my spotter not saying anything till late, I still gave him, I felt like, enough room, but it just got so narrow off of 4.
Of course, with just 3 regular season races remaining after this week, you've got to start thinking about points. What type of situation does this put you in now?
I'm relieved because we've been going every week going, well, we can't take too big a risk, but we got to push, you know, hard enough. I'm relieved. Now we can just don't worry about anything. Just drive as hard as we can, do everything we possibly can, and just go, you know, all out. That's all we can do, and we'll see where we end up.
Well, obviously a disappointed Jeff Gordon, Doc.
Mike, Jeff Gordon has won a race every year for the past 14 years, dating back to 1993. He now has a 28-race winless streak going on, and trying to be able to hang into the chase. The season for Jeff Gordon, for you Jeff Gordon fans, you may want to plug your ears. It doesn't sound 39th at Daytona, 43rd at Texas, 29th last week at Watkins Glen, and then who knows today. Can they get this car back on the racetrack?
Yeah, but we're going to Bristol next week. We know how good he is. Probably only other 2 people come to mind are Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace, and they're not racing, so he's got a good chance to get it back next week.
Yeah, and he had such a good car, as he said here today.
Here we go.
Speaking of good cars, 99 car, Carl Edwards.
Yeah, I'm watching Jimmy Johnson to see how his car is right here. He's right up front with these guys. He's a lap down, trying to get this lap back. to see if his car is still as good as it was after that contact.
A.J. Allmendinger got the lucky dog. Jimmy Johnson was about to go by him. If the caution hadn't come out for another 20 seconds or so, it would have been Jimmy Johnson who would have been able to get back on the lead lap.
And his problem now is we typically don't have a lot of cautions here, so even though these guys are racing awful hard, he's going to have to rely on that. I don't think his car is good enough to go up there and pass Carl Edwards right at this point in time.
He's in a good spot, though. He's in that spot to get the lucky dog if the caution does come out right here.
There's David Reagan, and we've talked about this young man trying to bounce back. There's the 6 car of David Reagan running in the top 10 all day. Great pit working right now. He's holding a solid 5th position.
He ran a really good race here the first time and has been even more solid this time. Looks like they learned a little something from that. We see Dale Jr. down on the bottom here trying to right behind David Reagan and Matt Kenseth. But he's just has done a good job. He's got himself, each restart, got himself in a good spot. Dave?
And you guys referred to it earlier today. David Reagan going into Watkins Glen. Not a great place for him. Jimmy Fennick told me this morning we had a team meeting before we went to Watkins Glen. We said we need to get through this. Well, it was a tough day. Finished 30th. We had a meeting after Watkins Glen. Now we're going to Michigan. This is what we do better. We will do better next week. They lost points last week, but they're making the comeback here.
And Dave, the point is with some of these guys in this bubble that's so tight for the chase, David Reagan stands in pretty good position. I mean, he actually could make some ground up here back in 14th position. He was 67 points behind the 12th position to be able to get in there. So he's obviously going to help himself. He's got 3 more races after today to get there.
And I think what he's got on his mind right now, though, he has a good enough car to get himself up there and be a factor in this race before it's over. And I think that when he can see that front guy, he's going to have a little more than that on his mind.
Andy, one of the guys you talked about before the race today was Kevin Harvick. Yeah, he qualified 38th, but he was 2nd fastest in happy hour on Saturday.
We heard him in the pre-race show say the only lap that he hasn't run well is qualifying this week. He's got a good car. You see him right here running with his teammate Jeff Burton. He's poised to have a good finish today. Dave?
Andy, I got to tell you about this 29 car today. It's been so loose all day long. Last pit stop, Kevin told crew chief Todd Berrier, tighten everything on this car. You know how to tighten. In that last short run, his comment was way better. Good day for the 29 now.
Couple of Toyotas tangling for 3rd. Kyle Busch will come out with the position.
Yeah, we heard Dave talking about how loose Kevin Harvick is, and everybody has been loose. We heard Dale Jr. say, do whatever it takes to tighten this thing up. He was not the only one saying that.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see what these guys say about their cars now that they only have 2 tires on it. Sometimes that tends to tighten the car up, so it'll be interesting to hear their comments as they get a little further into these runs.
Looks like Kyle Busch likes his car.
Yeah, bottom, top, doesn't matter right now. They keep making adjustments and making him better and better, and once again, he'll show up at the end of this race up right at the front, as he has many times this year.
You just saw Edwards flash by. He's 1.2 seconds ahead of Kyle Busch, who has yet to lead today. There's the 83 of Vickers.
Yeah.
One of the drivers who ran really well here back in June, in fact finished 2nd, was the 9 car of Casey Kane, and he's had a bit of a struggle here thus far today. Jamie.
He really has. Everybody's talking about their cars being loose. Casey Kane is no exception. We haven't talked about him because he started back there in 32nd. He's worked up to 23rd, but they have thrown everything at this car. They've even tried shock adjustments on their pit stops. Also struggling on their pit box. It's so tight. They wanted to take 2 tires on the last stop. They couldn't. They had to stay there. They ended up taking 4, but DJ, is what you just said. 4 tires may be a good thing for Casey Kane.
Yeah, that's Casey Kane. It's 9 car. Surprises me that they're not any better than that here. It's kind of like this team's kind of up and down.
You know, the one thing that I see and heard that they brought the same car back.
Yeah, a little bit of a touch for Hornish. He gathers it back up. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, they keep bringing that same car back, and that's understandable. You get good cars like that. But these other people, as we've heard, are bringing back new generation cars that are a little bit better, and you have to keep up. You have to make that change.
It's all
you think,
relative.
Andy, that you got to do that?
It's all relative, and we heard in the pre-race show Jimmy Johnson say that the pace of this field is 4/10 quicker since June. That's how much these guys have learned since then.
28 is Travis Quapple. Watch Quapple and Hornish. Whoa.
There was a good reason why he made that little bit of wiggle. We saw him on the 1st or 2nd lap of the race get into the wall. but he's run extremely well. Here we're on board. Just a
Clear, outside.
Sam Horny says, I body slammed those barrels at Watkins Glen last week and still ran the rest of the race, so, I can take a little nudge every now and then. 99 car. Carl Edwards picking up where he left off here on Saturday when he dominated and won the NASCAR Nationwide Series event. Next week, we head to Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee. There have been 5 different winners in the last 5 races at Bristol. And our man, Rusty Wallace, the all-time winning driver, 9 times he has won at Bristol, Tennessee. And, of course, including 5 times on the high bank concrete. Our coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Bristol, presented by Pennzoil Platinum, coming your way next Saturday night under the lights, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Kicking off with NASCAR Countdown, Alan Bestick, Brad Daugherty, and of course the man who owned that racetrack for so long, Rusty Wallace, and then our flag-to-flag coverage. Let's take a look at our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. Now, we ask you, because we are just down the road from the Motor City, which car manufacturer will win today's race? Would it be Toyota, Chevy, Ford, Dodge? Remember, Toyota's never won here. And it was Chevy back in June, and wow, a lot of people think that the GM cars are going to get it done today.
They better get busy.
Because the closest Chevy to the front is 8th, Jeff Burton right now. There is Carl Edwards, our leader in a Ford, Kyle Busch second in a Toyota, Vickers third in a Toyota, then Biffle, Reagan, Sadler, Kenseth. Jeff Burton is 8th, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back in 9th position. Remember, he had a handful of car. They were going to come in and make some adjustments. So still got to believe he's wrestling a little bit with the steering wheel. Let's listen to some of the communication.
DJ, can I explain what I mean real quick? When I'm in the middle of the corner, if you're coming over the radio, they only come over the radio when somebody's just putting their nose somewhere. Just don't come over the radio and say clear by 1. I don't really want to look in the mirror. I don't care whether he's there. I don't want to even know about it. I just assume not even know about it.
Obviously trying to focus as much as he can. Here moments ago, DJ, he's got his hands full.
Yeah, that's more than your hands full. And it's amazing when your car goes away how you get aggravated with just little things.
Yeah, he's mad at his spotter.
Yeah, somebody telling him something that he really didn't need information for is what he's saying. He only needs to know if somebody's sticking a nose up underneath him.
Shannon?
Yeah, of course, you guys, that was his spotter, TJ Majors, that he was talking to right now, as you just saw. And as you can see right there, Dale Earnhardt Jr. still very loose in that race car. He's saying right now that the car is driving like it has a broken axle. So maybe, DJ, you could tell us what exactly that would feel like.
Yeah, what happens is that it feels like that just one tire is pulling when you go to get back to the throttle, that you just have one of those rear wheels that's pulling, and it'll snap the car loose. We've fought that here. I've thought that a number of times, and have heard so many people, and this is one of the places that seems to happen more often. You go to get back to that throttle, and it feels like something's broke in the rear end, whether it's the axle, the locker in the rear end, something like that. You get it back home, and very seldom do you ever find that's what's happened. And this has been kind of the thing these guys have been fighting, Andy, that they start off the race really fast, and then they seem to fall back.
Here's one of the things. One of the things that happens is these guys think their car's driving so bad that they have to be the worst car on the racetrack. But if they can see what we see, that all these cars are loose. Everybody seems to have this problem.
We see a lot of guys, and we talked about a lot of guys. We see one of them here, Clint Boyer, that's trying to fight his way in and battle his way into this top 12. But he's just really hasn't gotten the job totally done today, but he has made some progress. Rusty, you've been paying attention to these guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I really have, DJ. I've been looking at, the 07 of Clint Boyer, because he's the guy that's 13th in the points trying to get in this thing really bad. Now he's fell 80 points behind. He's about a second and 2/10 off the pace. Car's not handling at all. This guy is in big trouble right now. They're going to need a pit stop to get this thing tuned back up, because the car's not handling at all, guys.
Yeah, it looks like he's just really totally lost the handle completely of this race car, and that's not what they need to be doing right now, especially when you've got people like David Reagan running up in the top 5. It's going to be make their job even more difficult as they try to make this chase.
A lot of times, DJs, there's a lot of grip on the bottom of the racetrack, and he's down there trying to find some grip. I mean, people mostly think it's in the middle on top, but he's trying to get to the bottom just to find anything he can. And Dave, what is he saying down there about his car?
Loose all day, Rusty. He's one more of those cars that have just been incredibly, incredibly loose. And Gil Martin told me this morning, you know, to get in this chase, to make it, we've got two things going for. We got one thing going against us, one thing going for us. Two not so great tracks. This one, evidence today, and Fontana, and two great tracks for us, Bristol and Richmond. They can't wait to get to Bristol next week.
Dave, I talked to Clint Boyer down in the garage here yesterday, and he's so frustrated. I mean, 2 of his last 4 finishes have been 20th or worse. I mean, a big frustration for them. They 22nd at Chicagoland, 23rd at Watkins Glen. And as you said, they want to get back to some of the tracks that have been really good to him, Bristol and Richmond. And also, by the way, folks, on top of the stress, he's trying to hold on and win the NASCAR Nationwide Series title, but his lead there is shrinking.
If you look at the way they're running right now, he's actually 14th in points. David Reagan is showing, he's kind of showing up on the board in front of him. If it would end now, we know it's not. And Clint knows it's not ending now, so he's going to try to do all he can to try to reverse this trend today.
Yeah, the bad thing is they're running out of time to make adjustments. We're down to 80 laps to go in this race, and they're only going to have 1 and 2 more probably at the most chances to make this car better, or he's going to find himself finishing well outside the top 20.
Here's what Clint himself had to say about the struggles they've been going through.
It's been hard to, you know, give all 100%. You know, focus on that Nationwide car because of what's been going on in the Cup car, but we're getting all that behind us. We've been testing every week in the Cup car, and you know, when you're running bad in one, it takes attention, takes the focus away from the other.
Greg Biffle making a move by the 83 car. That is for 3rd position. Again, Edwards the leader, Kyle Busch in 2nd. Biffle now into 3rd.
Yeah, these guys are a little over 7 seconds behind our leader, Carl Edwards, who's jumped out to a little over 4-second lead over 2nd place. He's got his car right where he said he was going to have it, as he told us yesterday after he won that Nationwide race.
Kyle Busch in 2nd spot. He has yet to lead a lap today, but the guy they're chasing, Carl Edwards, has led 3 times for 47 laps.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell tonight 8 Eastern Time. Philadelphia and San Diego. Ryan Howard and the Phillies taking on Adrian Gonzalez and the Padres. Then Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn ESPN2. It's Lance Berkman and the Houston Astros and their division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers. That's at 8 Eastern Time. How about a look at our McDonald's race rundown? What's happened so far? Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been one of the dominant drivers today. He's led 3 times for 43 laps here, taking the lead from Jimmy Johnson just a little bit early in the race. Then Carl Edwards established himself as a dominant force and had to avoid some trouble.
Did a great job. Paul Menard gets in the back of Ryan Newman, turns him sideways a little bit. Dave Blaney ends up worse for wear, but Carl avoided the trouble.
And a bad day for one of the Bubble Boys in points.
Oh, man, this is unbelievable. Both the teammates, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, get squeezed off of turn 4. And look at Johnson coming down. They fixed that left front fender damage. Going to put him a lap down. Tough deal for him. Well, he's the first guy now in line to get the line back. And Jeff Gordon blew a right front tire because of that contact in the wall.
And Jeff Gordon in the garage getting his car repaired. Right now being shown in 41st place in this race. Carl Edwards has led the most laps thus far in the event. We've got 73 laps to go. Pit stops, well, if this thing were to run green from here to the finish, everybody should have to stop twice, but that second stop is not going to be for long.
It is in question, and let's give a shout out to David Reagan and Elliott Sadler, who started 3rd. He's still hanging around that top 10. David Reagan's running 5th. Great job of those guys today.
So that's what's going on at the head end of the pack today in our 400-miler. And again, 73 laps to go. Edwards is your leader. Kyle Busch is 2nd. Greg Biffle, Brian Vickers, David Reagan round out the rest of the top 5. Doc, that's kind of a big lead Edwards has got.
Yeah, that is a huge lead, picking up where he left off yesterday. Although the last couple of laps, this car here, the 18 car, has run laps faster than Carl Edwards. Hard to see that he is closing, but he is based on lap times. Again, Kyle Busch, who has led the most laps this year in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, has yet to lead a lap today.
Look, we usually see cars everywhere on this racetrack, and we're just not seeing many away from the wall unless they're going down the straightaway making a pass. Everybody seems to be running literally from 2/3 of that corner up to the top of it. There's just not many guys down towards the bottom, but you can see them spread out a little bit here now. But we've got a lot of guys just right against the wall. I've been watching Dale Jr. the last few laps as he started to make up a few positions, and he is literally right against the wall. It's almost like he's got a little wheel over there that he's using to push against the wall as he goes through the corner. The furthest he's away from the wall is when he goes down the straightaway. And watch as he gets down to this first corner right here. Backs out of the gas, gives himself just a little bit of room here, picks the throttle back up, and he is literally, I mean, that's inches away from the wall.
Wow. 70 laps to go, and Dale Jr. trying to hold on. His former teammate is the one car, Martin Truex Jr., running back in 16th position. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, Martin Truex Jr.'s run as high as 12th, and of course you said he's back now. But I want you to take a look on top of the pit box. His interim crew chief, Mike Griechi, is wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Why, you ask? Well, it's in memory of his good friend, Steve Hellwig, also known as Big Guy, who worked on the number 11 Jason Keller Nationwide car, who died on Friday of leukemia. Now, the Hawaiian shirt is something that Steve, Big Guy, would wear all the time, and for the funeral, his family and friends are asking that everybody attends the funeral on Tuesday in Huntersville, North Carolina, wear one of these shirts in memory of Big Guy. So a good friend of Big Guy up here on the pit box remembering his friend today.
Shannon, very difficult yesterday when Jason Keller, who's basically that was his car chief, Big Guy, and they were informed yesterday morning that he had lost that battle with leukemia after being diagnosed back in July. Been a tough week for folks in racing, DJ.
Yeah, a number of things, and another that we have, Terry Labonte lost his mother-in-law yesterday, his wife Kim's mother. So Barbara Danmeter passed away yesterday, so Terry's here knowing he has to do his job, but our thoughts and prayers are with the Labonte family.
Moving in on the next set of pit stops, they were last on pit road on lap 99, should be coming in 7 to 9 laps. There's the margin right there, Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. Yes, he is catching him, but it's going to be easier to catch him because they're going to come on pit road in about 7 laps. Greg Biffle is there, Vickers, and how about David Reagan hanging right there in the top 5? Back in a moment. The Irish Hills of Michigan NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action here in Brooklyn, and aerial coverage brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. And one driver who will not get to the finish line today is the 9 car of Casey Kane, who came on the pit road a moment ago and is headed to the garage area. Here is Elliott Sadler in the pits. Jamie.
And he just got word that his teammate just lost power. The 9 Casey Kane going to the garage, but Elliott Sadler wants to take 4 tires. He said he's been a little bit loose, just like everybody all day, guys.
Elliott doing a great job. That's the car that he finished 4th with at Indianapolis, where he led 5 laps. Again, racing for $1 million bonus to help some seriously ill children in the Children's Miracle Network. Here's the guy that they've been chasing. Should be coming on pit road momentarily. And by the way, that 9 car going to the garage area, you know, that's going to, some of these guys in the, whoa!
Hold on to it. Man, that was close.
Right in front of him, Patrick Carpentier, after Carl had to dodge the incident earlier.
He's had some good looks.
Boy, my gosh.
We'll give Patrick about a 9 on the save there. That was pretty impressive.
17 and 11 running for position for 8th spot.
It's pretty impressive. Denny Hamlin watched him early in the race and just wasn't impressed at all. He ran pretty good in practice yesterday, but it just didn't seem like he was making up any spots. But that last time that they got 2 tires, they made up a lot of spots and looked like they have their car a lot better right now.
Let's check in on the 17 pits. Matt Kenza with Dave.
And he took 2 tires last time, too. Look at him come off that corner. Listen to the severity of the loose condition today.
I know you're doing everything you can, but I mean, we're still so far loose, Chip. We're not even close to being neutral yet. The 2-tire program didn't help us there. So far over my head sideways, I can't do any more for you. It's just so bad loose. We just haven't really come close to fixing it yet.
That's hard to deal with all day long. We'll see what adjustments they make here in a couple laps.
Seems to be the common thing.
Carpentier opting to come on pit road after that save he made a moment ago.
Yeah, probably a good choice for him. I'm not sure how many more saves those tires had left in them.
Yeah,
fire back up, all clear, all
He might have needed one of those tow trucks in a box. Dave.
Mark Martin on pit road. He had an interesting comment. Slow in the middle. I think he meant tight just a little bit. He said also that it starts off great and then it starts to tear off the right rear. They make changes to that car, send him back down.
Mark Martin, the winningest active driver here, four-time winner. Here comes Biffle in. Vickers in. Greg Biffle, 60 laps away. They'll have to come in once more. Let's go down to Mike.
And Doc, he's pretty happy with his race car, just a smidge, little bit looser. They're going to make a little bit of a wedge adjustment, a half a round down on the left rear, and also a 4-tire change on the 16. Jamie?
And Brian Vickers in his pit box. They move around to the left side. Great car all day. Brian Vickers, of course, loves running here at Michigan. Has had a lot of success. Led a bunch of laps early on. He's down and away, guys.
Matt Kenseth now finally coming on. Let's go back down to Mike.
And Kyle Busch took a 2-tire change last time down pit road. Look for a 4-tire change here. They're also going to make yet another wedge adjustment to the 18 car. Still 2 free for Kyle Busch. Going to work now on the left side as they complete their stop here to Jamie.
And Carl Edwards in his pit box. Everything's good. All he wants to know is what line is Kyle Busch running. And so he knows Kyle Busch was gaining time on him running that high line. 4 tires for Carl, 14 for 7. Shannon?
Amy Dale Jr. still a little bit loose. Last pit stop, it was 2 tires. This time it's 4 for the 88.
And Kurt Busch making his way down pit road, guys. Pretty good with the car. He said everything. They've been pretty quiet on the radio. Right side tires. Looks like it's going to be a 2-tire stop for Kurt Busch in the 2. Little track bar adjustment there as they make their way around. They do decide to take 4 tires for Kurt Busch. Dave?
David Reagan said, I'm just a little bit free, but I'd just as soon leave it alone, except for 4 fresh tires. They put those on. They've been good on pit road all day. Lug nuts all on. And one more time, this 6th group does a good job for Reagan.
Check this out, guys.
Man, Kyle Busch, I was watching him come on the pit road. He was smoking the tires. He ate up so much time getting to pit road on Carl Edwards. You know, he was about 4 seconds behind him whenever they started making his pit stops, and now he's trying to take the lead.
They made an adjustment. It looked like the 99 car had a good pit stop. I didn't see any problems, but man, did he make up some time. He's going for more.
You know, not only does he do a great job driving the race car and everything, but those are the kind of things that sometimes go unnoticed. Obviously, it's not unnoticed here, and I'm sure Carl Edwards is taking note, and the next time if they have to make a pit stop, he might try to do things a little different. But that's just how much you get from this driver.
The pit stops have cycled through, so that was the pass for the lead.
Right here, boys. Thank you.
Kyle Busch will come down and lead for the first time today here on lap 142. We asked Kyle Busch, okay, you've had a great year and you're in the chase. What's next? Are you going to be able to continue to go for the wins?
Well, I mean, we approach these next 4 races just trying to go for wins. You know, 2nd through 43rd doesn't mean anything to us because we're solidly pretty much in the top 12 for the chase. And so if we can get some more wins, that'll just escalate our point total for the start of the chase.
When you're having that kind of year, why not? I mean, you're having the year where everything is going well. I mean, and the crew is doing the same thing. I mean, take a look at front tire carrier Brad Donahue out of Orange County, Virginia. Watch the work here for this 18 crew.
See the great teamwork on this team. Clean pit stop. They actually even changed the chassis. I saw him put a wrench in the rear window. Made a chassis change and still got out there.
Might explain now how he made up so much time on Carl Edwards when he came in so far behind. But right now it's Carl Edwards who's chasing him. Kyle Busch, our leader at Michigan.
For that spot right now. Passing him. I think. Yep, just passed him.
Welcome back to the 3M Performance 400 at Michigan International Speedway, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action. Kyle Busch is our leader. He is now just taken the lead a little. He had not led until lap 143 today, although it had been the Carl Edwards show. We told you that the day was about bubble drivers. There were drivers from 6th back to 13th, separated about 148 points. Jeff Gordon is in the garage area getting his car repaired. You see Casey Kane is headed to the garage area. He is back. And the big gainers now, David Reagan, who began today 14th in points, is just now sitting 57 points out of the chase. And the driver who's in jeopardy of moving out, well, Mike's standing by with him.
And of course, that's Casey Kane, Doc. Coincidentally, he's parked right next to Jeff Gordon here in the garage area. What happened?
Just something with the engine. I don't know what it was. It started smoking a little inside the car. And then lost a ton of power and I had to pit. So we brought it in. They're fixing it. I think what they can fix. I think we lost a cylinder somewhere, but we'll get it fixed up. We'll try to finish the race and get the most points we can. We hardly ever have engine problems, so it's kind of a weird thing, but the engine shop always does a great job with our Budweiser Dodge.
You mentioned getting as many points as you possibly can. There's only 3 regular season races to go. You're pretty much right on that bubble. What's that like?
We're right on the bubble for sure, and you know, we were sitting good coming in here, sitting in a good spot, and we're probably about 12th now, I'd imagine, but we can still do it. We have a good team, a good car. We just have to finish these races, and if we do that, we'll be all right.
And Doc, Casey Kane's math's pretty good. Right now, he is 12th.
He finished 7th at Bristol back in the spring. It has been a good racetrack for him. Bristol, California, and Richmond coming up. But, boy, you don't want to be there where you have to run that well. You have to be able to take care of yourself. I'd like to go into Bristol knowing you can't really mess up your car. You got to get a good finish.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about certain racetracks being tracks that are kind of wild card because things happen. This just shows you it can happen anywhere. Anything can happen with these, and you have to perform each and every week because everybody else is going to, and that just shows this is going to come down to Richmond in just a few weeks.
Kyle Busch, 8 wins in 2008. A total of 16 wins in NASCAR, 8 in Cup, 6 in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and 2 in the Truck Series. Carl Edwards is 2nd, Greg Biffle 3rd, David Reagan in 4th position, and the 83 car of Brian Vickers is 5th, right in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's check in the Vickers pits.
Well, Doc, Brian Vickers 5th right now. You know, he started on the pole, led some laps, but he was just radioing into his crew saying he's losing power on this straightaway. They're definitely not as fast as they have been all race long, so it's something he's keeping an eye on as they continue to fall back just a little bit.
You know, how many times have we seen Jimmy Johnson's team have a problem, get a lap down, and luck falls their way, and they come back and contend to win the race? Well, today, they haven't had that luck. Remember, Johnson had to pit under green after that contact with Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. It put Johnson a lap down for the longest time. He was the first car 1 lap down. And then these green flag pit stops happened. Now he's like the 13th or 14th car 1 lap down because of the green flag pit stops that spread the field. And Andy, for Chad Knaus, he just got to be saying, it's just not my day.
Yeah, he is, Alan, but there is something good that can come out of this. If they can keep running here for a while, he can make up some spots. If the caution comes out, there's only 19 cars on the lead lap, and this 48 car is better than most of those. So he would gain a lot of spots and then maybe put himself back in position. But he's going to have a break. You're right. It's just not falling his way.
Andy, I tell you what, you're exactly right when it comes to that. But JL, I want to talk to you about one thing. You remember, buddy, we used to put a set of brand new tires in these cars. You go out for the first couple laps and it sticks like crazy and just flies. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Kyle Busch, I've been watching him from between lap 141 and 149. This guy just took off on those 2 tires, pulled away about 2.32 seconds in the field. Now it's up to 3 1/4 seconds. But as you notice now, the times are starting to stabilize between him and Edwards just a little bit. I'm pretty impressed how hard he drove that car to get away from these guys. And that's a good feel, man, when you got them new tires, you know.
That's a great feeling. You're exactly right. But what's going to happen here is he runs on some more laps. That 99 has been the best car on the longer runs. So did Kyle Busch abuse those tires? We've thought that before, and he just seemed to keep building on his lead. It'll be interesting to see here, though, if Carl Edwards is able, as he's sideways
Carl
right there.
Edwards,
Wow. Looks like his car might be a little bit loose, but Rusty, that 18 car, they've been adjusting on that car, and it looks like they've got it where Kyle Busch likes it right now.
He's liking it right now. There's no doubt about that. But if you talk about loose, hey, that 99 just won the award for big time loose. And you know, we talked earlier in the year about how these guys can get these things sideways, and that rear wing seems to straighten them out. Let's take a look at this replay right here, because guys, that was smoking sideways. Take a look at that, DJ.
Man, we were on him, and then we got out getting ready to get, wow. Now that, look, I'm telling you, that's a lot more sideways than what that even looks right there. If you can see that head on, or be where Carl's sitting, I can assure you that's way sideways. And we can see him in the next shot, his hands were turning more right through turns 3 and 4 than they were to the left.
Yeah, this is a good angle right here. Let's take a look at it one more time. Whoa, look at that baby step out on him. Good job of gathering it back up. But now, look, because of that, Kyle Busch now is to pull out to a 4.4 second lead. This cat right now is color me gone, this 18 car is.
Hey, Rusty, whenever you get a car that sideways, it takes a lap or two to come back, doesn't it?
Well, after you clean your shorts out a little bit, you lose your breath a little bit, and finally you get gathered back up in the wheel, and your crew chief says, okay, baby, get back up and ride that thing. Clear your head out now. Hit your marks.
Jeff Burton trying to move his way. Remember Jeff Burton, who's had a couple of abysmal finishes the last couple of weeks, moved back to 5th in the points. Our Wrangler telemetry shows you that Jeff is running really well, moving in on the 17 car. He's 9th right now. He has caught Kenseth and Hamlin. Catching them is one thing, though. Is he going to be able to get by? Remember, there is one more pit stop, which will come around lap 180 to 182.
See how these guys barely go back to the throttle in the middle of the corner, and they have to really squeeze it down smoothly. They can't just stab the throttle here when these tires get some laps on.
Yeah, they just don't have the downforce back there to help them out, and that's been the biggest difference with these cars is these guys have really had to baby the throttle. We see him racing the 17, who we've heard talk about how loose his car was. A big improvement for the 11 car and Denny Hamlin right there as we see Matt Kenseth trying to go around Denny Hamlin, but that's been a huge improvement as they were running back in the mid-30s earlier in this race as they started back there, but didn't seem like they were going forward, but now they have righted things and got themselves in the top 10.
You guys referred to the fact that you want to roll in or squeeze into the throttle. Be very careful, as slippery as this racetrack is. There's Casey Mears, and we've got some cameras where you can actually watch what he does with his feet in the floorboard.
Now this is a good shot right here. You'll be able to see he's running wide open down in the corner. Gets on that brake. He's using quite a bit of brake. He's a left foot braker. So he has to go back to that. So, whoa, he's just having to play with that throttle a little bit. Especially right up under the, and they have to get out of it just a little bit right there with the 00.
Yeah, that's a great shot right there showing. And this racetrack used to be with the older cars that you could really hammer that throttle a lot more when you had that downforce. We're able to do that. We'll watch him here down in turns 3 and 4 as he tries to go back to the throttle. A little bit of brake there, back to the throttle. Now you're wanting to get to, you say you have to play with that throttle. You're not wanting to. It's just something that you have to do or you're going to spin out.
What tells you that you can't mash it all the way down?
The feeling in your pants. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have your hands full and your pants full if you don't squeeze it real easy coming in and coming off. Right now, they've got their hands full of 23-year-old Kyle Busch trying to get win number 9. And after getting win number 8 with a dominating performance a week ago at Watkins Glen, Kyle Busch sweeping the road races. Yeah, how good is this kid already? Lots of motorsports coming your way. NHRA action, the finals from Reading, Pennsylvania, coming up 10 o'clock tonight Eastern Time. NASCAR Now tomorrow at 5 Eastern Time. How about some NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Bristol next Wednesday, 7:30. Jimmy Johnson, by the way, driving the truck owned by Randy Moss. Then NASCAR Nationwide action, live flag to flag, Thunder Valley next Friday night, 7:30 Eastern Time. And of course, NASCAR Sprint Cup at Bristol, presented by Pennzoil Platinum, beginning with NASCAR Countdown Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Alan Brad and Russell William Wallace, who owned that high bank track for so long. Let's get you up to speed with the leaders, starting with our leader Kyle Busch and Mike Massaro.
And what a tremendous season that Kyle Busch has had and that whole 18 team has had. I spoke with his crew chief, Steve Addington, this morning, Doc, about the season. They said it's great, but it doesn't come without a little bit of anxiety. Keep in mind, because of the dry spell the 18 team has had over the last several years, very few of those team members have ever been to the chase. In fact, they're going to rely on Kyle Busch to be the guy with experience and lead this team. The motto right now in the 18 is be hungry, but be humble. And that's what they've been doing. Right now, they're looking for win number 9, Jamie.
Caution, debris on the racetrack. This will be caution.
Came off the 24 car.
Number 4, the 24 car, had been back in the garage area, Jeff Gordon, and had pulled back on the racetrack 61 laps down in 42nd position. There's the damage on the 24 car, who cut a right front tire and slammed the wall after having contact about 10 laps earlier with his teammate, the 48.
This might be a big break for Jimmy Johnson. He'll be able to race some of these guys now for that lucky dog spot.
Yeah, I'd say a big break for anybody that had any thoughts of beating Kyle Busch, too, because under green, they weren't getting it done. So now they can make some adjustments. I don't know if Carl Edwards' car got loose or exactly what the situation was, but Kyle Busch had gotten himself way out there in front of these guys, about 7 seconds ahead of them.
Yeah, Kyle would have had a lot of options to be able to do some things on that final pit stop if we'd stayed green. The other guys wouldn't have had much. They'd have had to probably put 4 tires and go and try to.
Well, this is the last stop they'll have to make.
Is 2 tires an option here, Andy?
It would be an option. The way we saw that 18 car on 4 tires, I'm not sure it's a good one.
I'll tell you what, guys, talk about options. We were talking about the options a little while ago, who had what, and Kyle had them all. But right now, tell you what, it's about 35 laps to go. Right now, it's all about who's got the fastest car. They're going to put 4 tires in these babies, fill them up, and hammer down, and it's all about fast cars now. No more fuel stuff.
Big break for Tony Stewart, by the way. He was the next car to go a lap down. His teammate Kyle Busch was about to put him a lap down. This caution will leave him and the 16 other cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Biffle, Reagan, Dale Jr. They're headed down pit road, and we're headed down today.
Can a quarter pound of air pressure give David Reagan the fastest car? The right rear tire they put on will have a quarter pound less than the last time. Mike?
Throughout the course of the day, the 18 team has put in spring rubbers. They've made wedge adjustments, all in an effort to tighten him up. This time, though, he wants to be loosened up just a little bit. Shannon?
Well, Mike, Dale Jr.'s been fighting loose conditions all day. It has tightened up, but just in the center. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment, and 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jamie?
Carl Edwards said this was a totally different race car this stint from the last one. It's wicked loose for him. He was going to take 4 tires and a big wedge adjustment for the 99.
Vickers up 5 positions. You see Kyle Busch back a spot. 11-second pit stop for David Reagan, but by virtue of Vickers gaining those spots, he will be back 1 position to 5.
Hard to believe you have 11-9 stop
and you lose a position on pit road. Watch Kyle Busch's bunch here. Again, Brad Donahue, front tire carrier. Brad Donahue's favorite movie is Remember the Titans. Said that those guys beat the odds, and we're going to as well. Back in a moment. Back in the Irish Hills of Michigan, under caution here for the 4th time today. Debris coming off the 24 car. Jeff Gordon had been back in the garage area and come out with some damage on the right front fender that brought the caution out. Our leader is Brian Vickers, a 2-tire stop for Vickers, who was the pole sitter today. And also by virtue of winning the pole, he gets the first pit selection. And Andy, that's a big break for, and I guess a just reward if you are the fastest qualifier.
It's always an advantage to be the #1 pit guy here. But at this racetrack, they've got that line real close to that first pit box. You see Brian Vickers, all he has to do is just roll and he's across the line. So they're finishing up that right side stop, and here they go. He gets it easily.
Yeah, right front tire changer was the first guy off pit road there.
Yeah, he did break the plane first. And that shows you how close that line is.
Jamie?
Well, you guys, they did take advantage of that. Like you said, Andy, they watched the competition, saw what they were going to do, and last minute decided on 2 tires. The entire team watching that pit stop and how they crossed the line first. But Brian Vickers, you know, he radioed in and said that he thought he was losing power. He said it's coming around now. I think he just had a seriously loose car.
Thank you, Jamie. Ironically, there have been no pit road penalties this entire race. That is a rare occurrence in a NASCAR race. NASCAR don't have to penalize anyone for coming in too soon or speeding, and we probably just jinxed half the field.
Maybe not. That might have been the last stop.
Might be. 32 laps to go. Let's let the pace car pull away. Let's listen to the spotters as we go full throttle.
Yeah, just close up a little bit. Right there.
Pace cars in.
Ready.
Get ready.
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 Going. Go.
Go.
Green flag.
Green.
Well, that's 20.
In and out. south. 1 wide. Just a 5 all the way at the bottom, 5 still inside. There, all clear. Inside. Hope he rides right there. Here you go, all clear, 30 right away.
That probably answers the 4 tires versus 2 tires debate, and they were 4 wide a moment ago in turn 2, and getting pushed all the way down to the apron trying to get off the turn, but it's time to go, guys. 30 laps to go, and you're probably done with pit road unless we get a caution flag.
Well, Brian Vickers just trying to do anything he could to get that track position and hope it works, but 4 tires just overcoming the 2 tires right there easily.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt when you put 4 tires on what looked like the best race car of the last run and you only put on 2, you're going to have a hard time holding him off, because we got to spin.
Kurt Busch in the 2 car gets it sideways down on the apron. He will save it.
Looks like he's got a flat left rear.
Here we come. No caution.
Like he's had some contact with somebody with that left rear tire.
Side tires, left side tires.
Yeah, these guys were racing and battling awful hard back there, so you know there was some contact at some point in time. With that left rear tire flat, he did a great job of saving it, but no caution, so this is going to get him quite a bit behind.
There have been some 3 and 4 wide battles, and they actually were just shuffling on. Now watch on the restart there, top of your screen, 4 wide.
5 wide almost at one point.
Almost 5.
They are 5 wide.
Yeah, that's the contact right there. 70 is Tony Raines, and the result right
Still there. All clear, all clear.
Didn't take long. You suddenly, right side of your screen, see the 2 car just slowing down because the tire is going down and just tries to hang on.
Does a good job. I'm sure he felt that thing going down. It got slow enough where he could save the thing and get it back to pit road.
Pretty good battle here. The 11 and 31, and it's for 7th spot. Jeff Burton trying to drive his way back to a top 5 finish. Denny Hamlin, we talked about how far he had to come after starting way in the back of the pack. Dave.
When I talked to crew chief Mike Ford this morning, I said, how are you going to be today? He goes, who knows? We've been loose and fast and tight and fast. I said, well, what happened to qualifying? Well, we were just loose and slow then. But he said, I'm looking forward to having a great day because we got close at the end of final practice, and we really think this car will be okay. We just have to pass a lot of people, and they've done it.
They were 3rd quickest in final practice, talking about the 11 car now. Denny Hamlin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. got a nice view a moment ago with a 31 car. Burton getting out of shape.
He's still loose. He's chasing the car to the top of the racetrack. And we see now Junior trying the bottom. He's been right up next to the wall for a lot of the race. And he's got new tires on. He can run the bottom a little bit.
These guys know that they've made their last pit stop unless something happens. And I would say even something happens, there probably a lot of them probably aren't going to come back to the pits. So they're racing hard for every spot they can get. When we look back up front here, Kyle Busch has some company now.
Yeah, that last lap, Carl Edwards beat Kyle Busch by about 0.3 of a second.
While you watch this battle here with Biffle trying to go underneath Vickers for position, for you Jeff Gordon fans, the news is not good. The 24 car is done for the day. He's headed back to the garage area, and Jeff Gordon will officially be scored, finishing 42nd at Michigan. And that really does hurt in terms of where he is in the point standings. Right now he's being shown 10th. He came into this day 6th overall. He will finish 10th, if not 11th, when the day is done.
See right behind this group, David Reagan coming back into the mix here. We've talked about all day how good a job he's done. He's in 5th spot, has a really fast race car. They had an 11.9 second pit stop a while ago. So you got all things clicking like that can make for a good day. And for this guy, just getting himself in that position now, that's the good thing. Is you can start running in the top 5, then good things can happen, and you can start looking at winning.
Andy, what about Kevin Harvick? We talked about the fact he was 38th in qualifying, but it was so good in happy hour. Boy, he has just continued to drive this car and kept it there in the top 15.
Yeah, he's got it at the top 15, and he's just outside the top 10. He's been trying to claw his way into the top 10. This team's done a great job of just chipping away at it. He's still got some time here to get this car up in the top 10 and maybe get a little bit more, but he's there.
Back up front, Kyle Busch, 24 laps to go. Mike.
And there may be some trouble brewing in the 18 car as well, Doc. Pay attention to this. Kyle Busch just came over his radio and asked Steve Addington if this set of tires they just bolted on was different. The reason, he said the right front, it feels like it's gone already, and that's a problem, obviously.
Well, they're running some awful fast lap times right now, and you get out there, you can abuse that just a little bit, or be interesting to see what happens as we run on. He only has 23 laps to go, but he's got a mirror full of Carl Edwards right
Carl's
now.
all over him here, and if he's got that right front tire, feels like it's gone already in this run. That's probably not going to get better as the fuel burns off. But this Kyle Busch has proven that he can drive around just about any problem.
Andy, what do you say to your driver when you hear that? I mean, obviously you're not going to bring him on a pit road, or do you leave him out there and take a chance?
Oh, you leave him out there. It's all his right now. Just tell him you got what you got, and you know, you're the best. Show me what you can do here.
You just pump him up?
Yes, sir. That's all you can do. He still got the lead. Jamie?
Guys, right before Mike said that report about the 18, the 99 team radioed to their driver Carl Edwards and said, the 18 sounds like they may have a flat. Just keep your eyes open. That was enough to get him going, guys. He's reeling them in.
That's right. These guys want to pounce on somebody when they got a problem, don't they?
Yeah, when they're injured or they're wounded or they're having trouble, it gets them all fired up, and Carl Edwards is up on that steering wheel.
And sometimes as a driver, you see a guy starting to gain on you a little bit. Then you have a caution out right now.
Caution number 5, debris on the front straightaway. See the crew chiefs there. Bob Osborne, right side of your screen, Steve Addington, or Kyle Busch, as they are talking to their drivers. Now what do you do?
Now this gets interesting right here, because tires can help. And some of these guys, I know the guys at the back of the lead lap are going to come in and get tires. The leaders will likely stay out.
If I'm Kyle Busch, and especially since my car's not exactly where I want, I'm going to try to force everybody else's hand right now. If I can come on pit road, put on 2 tires and go back out there, and hope that I get enough of them to come with me.
NASCAR safety truck coming down to pick up some debris off one of the cars. Well, we're going to find out what they're going to do. Kyle Busch has had a good enough car, and he still would have almost 20 laps to drive the car back. Just 17 cars on the lead lap, and they're
getting ready.
The Joe Gibbs team ready to bring him down. Take a look at that right front when it comes off there. Carl Edwards' bunch. Remember, Carl came all the way from the back of the pack.
If Kyle Busch comes down pit road, he's likely to bring a lot of guys with him.
Yeah, I think Carl Edwards may stay out, but it'll be interesting to see. I think Kyle Busch is definitely coming on pit road.
I think Carl might too. Here, watch this. Here we go.
Yeah, follow the leader. Pied Piper. David Reagan stays out. Earnhardt Jr. stayed out. Everybody else on pit road. Let's go down to Mike.
And there was some apprehension in the voice of Kyle Busch when Steve Addington asked him if he wanted to come. He said, I don't know, but these tires are horrible. They're going to go with a 2-tire change on the right side, just trying to give him a winning set and an opportunity to pick up his 9th win this year. He's away.
And Carl Edwards was right behind watching the move that Kyle Busch made. They decided to come down right sides. Only Carl Edwards right behind Kyle, looking for his 5th win this season, guys.
And Carl Edwards will get him off of pit road. Race off of pit road, and Carl by half a car length in front of Kyle Busch. Watch the reaction here from the Roush Fenway crew. They know the 18 car chased 2 tires. The only way Carl's got to get to the line, and there he is. And they see they beat the 18 off of pit road.
We did our job, boys.
That's how Carl Edwards won the nationwide race yesterday. He got out first.
They know it's up to cousin Carl to hang on there. Watch the race off. It's the white line. Here comes Carl. And there's the 18, just a car length back. Wow, how close is that? Back at Michigan International Speedway under caution for the 5th time today. Check out today's Sprint Cup monster moment. How about this monster pit stop by Carl Edwards' crew?
Yeah, check these guys out. They make a quick 2-tire stop, and they've got to beat Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers off the line here, and they do that right here.
For more monster moments, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. David Reagan stayed on the racetrack, not only trying to get his first win.
Here's the shuffle. Carl Edwards already under Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting into 1.
There comes Carl going above Michael Waltrip. Got his sights set on his teammate, David Reagan. 48 car, Jimmy Johnson back on the lead lap, and Junior gets a little nudge in the concrete. '18 car back in traffic, trying to make his way.
Yeah, Junior's in trouble here. He hit pretty hard over there.
Yeah, he did. He's up there right way across the racetrack. Up front, Carl Edwards trying to go by Reagan and will take the lead back away with 18 laps to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will come across and hustle down pit road.
Like he might have had a flat tire, but he got into the wall hard.
Heavy damage on the right side after Junior had such a good car here the first half of the race.
Fender's cleared, let him go. To right.
Now, Jimmy Johnson's wanting to stay in front of Carl, but Carl's wishing he'd let him by so he could get that full clean air on the front of his race car before these other guys get through traffic.
Yeah, Jimmy still wants to stay out here, though. He needs to try to get this lap back. Hopes for a caution right here, because if he doesn't get one in about 7 laps, he won't get that lucky dog.
Jimmy Johnson right now the 19th and final car on the lead lap. Let's show you again what happened to Dale Earnhardt Jr. just after the restart here. Sliding up right against the wall. They're out of 4.
Yeah, it's that seam there where the safer barrier and the concrete come together. See, watch it go, man. Well, that's going to cost something.
Yeah, so much for that camera.
Still 2 inside there. Still inside, just 1 in.
It's going to be another difficult day for those guys and not a good finish. We see Carl Edwards has gotten by Jimmy Johnson and pretty much setting sail out front. He's got exactly what he wanted. His pit crew gave him the opportunity to be the first guy up there, and he's got his car in that clean air.
He made the most of it on that restart. He passed Dale Earnhardt Jr. right on the start, and he got himself in position before Kyle Busch could actually get in position to get the lead.
Let's check in David Reagan's pit. Dave.
Yeah, Doc, remember he stayed out there. That was kind of a bold call. They didn't mean to. Jimmy Fennig had told his driver, if everyone comes in, let's come in and take on 2 tires. I just confirmed that with Jimmy. He said, well, we got what we got now. We'll see how it works out.
Right now it's not hurting David Reagan really. He's running some good lap times. He's staying up there and he's got himself in a good spot. He was back in 5th before that, so he's in a pretty good position. But we got a lot of battling, a lot of guys here now.
Yeah, there's Mark Martin. Mark Martin is there. He's coming alongside Kevin Harvick. Right behind him, DJ, the 11th of Denningham. A lot of point shuffling right there.
The 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. All these guys are racing for a top spot here. Uh-oh, another caution.
Turn 3, debris on the racetrack.
Probably from the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I can assure you that's not what Carl Edwards wanted. He didn't want to have to deal with.
Neither did Bob Osborne. No. He did not want to see this caution.
13 laps to go. Steve Addington, his guy, not able to run down the 99 car like I thought they might be able to, coming off of pit road. Yet, I said so far.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm sure David Reagan didn't want to see that caution either because he had not been on pit road for tires.
You know who did want to see it is Jimmy Johnson.
Yep.
He gets this lucky dog right here. Now he's back in the lead lap. He can start making up some spots.
And if you just joined our coverage, it was lap 90 today where Jimmy Johnson was in a 4-wide battle and got bounced off the 20 car of Tony Stewart into his teammate Jeff Gordon, producing a cut left front tire. He had to come down pit road and lost a lap. And his teammate, a few laps later, Jeff Gordon cut a tire and hit the wall. Now he is back in the garage area. Not a good day for those 2 Hendrick cars.
Guys, we'll go 4 tires.
Jimmy Johnson's going to get 4 tires to start on the tail end of the lead lap.
He's going to be one of the few guys that'll be on to pit road, but there will be some others. And Michael Waltrip's the next car that will be a lap down. Michael's had a good run. He's made the most of it. This is the newest generation car from Michael Waltrip Racing. They had a lot of excitement about what could possibly be today, so he has done a good job inside the top 20.
Jimmy Johnson comes down, as does Jeff Burton, Bobby Labonte, and others will set the pit stops and come back with the green flag in a moment.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Michigan, brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. By Hanes, with panties that won't ride up. Be wedgie free. And Coors Light. Get Coors Light pole position alerts on your cell phone. Just text pole to 42100. Radio from Kyle Busch as that last caution waved.
Well, this is my shot. Yeah, they're going to stay. Everybody will stay here.
Steve Addington saying, yeah, don't pit. And yeah, this is Kyle Busch's shot. He's third behind David Reagan and the leader, Carl Edwards, as we get set for restart with 10 to go real quickly. Kyle?
Boy, I think Kyle will catch him. I think it's a great opportunity.
I like that clean air that Carl's got out front. He's been fast.
Here we go, Doc.
Oh, it's going to be good. You love this one at Michigan. Pace cars pulling away. Can Carl Edwards become the second driver to sweep Saturday and Sunday in 2008? Kyle Busch did it at Chicagoland. Kyle Busch has got to get by the teammate of Carl Edwards, David Reagan. Remember, Reagan does not have fresh tires. Carl trying to pull away, and Kyle stuck behind the 6 car.
Yeah, I think his only chance if he can get to the outside of the 6 car, and he's not even trying. He goes to the inside. Shows what I know. That's why I'm up here.
Okay. He's in second spot.
That was big right there to get that to that point that early.
Carl's still got a pretty good jump on him.
This gives him plenty of time now just to focus on that 99's rear bumper. Don't you think that Carl Edwards isn't looking in that mirror, though? He is up on that wheel right now. Look at David Reagan back on the inside.
Fast. Yeah, that's going to help.
David Reagan did not take tires and is having the best run of his career. How much does Jack Roush love seeing this for his young driver?
Kyle Busch just didn't seem like he could get his car down ever going into turn 3 and on the exit, like he couldn't get back to the throttle. And David Reagan took advantage of that as Kyle gets the spot back now, but he's lost a lot of time to Carl Edwards.
Remember, we are just an hour west of the Motor City. General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. It's all about pride when they come to Michigan. They want to win here. Toyota has never won at Michigan International Speedway in NASCAR, Sprint Cup, or nationwide for that matter. Yesterday it was Carl Edwards in the Ford, and Edwards trying to hold off the Toyota of Kyle Busch here with 8 laps to go.
Now we do have cars going everywhere. They're in every lane, taking up all the lanes there now, Andy.
Look at this, 3, 4, 5 wide there.
Way up across the racetrack.
There goes Harvey and Vickers.
That's 5th, 6th, 7th.
Well, Matt Kenseth has complained about a loose race car all day, but he's in a position right now in 6th. He could really make some good gains as far as the points go. How about Mark Martin there on the inside? Got himself up to 5th spot as they went by the start-finish line there.
Kevin Harvick coming.
He's running these guys down. He's the one making the moves back there.
Clint Boyer, by the way, is a lap down in 22nd position. Elliott Sadler is back there in the 19 car. That's Tony Stewart and Elliott battling. That is for 9th and 10th.
Mark Martin's got 4 tires on. Matt Kenseth back there has 2 tires.
Matt takes the spot away from the 83 of Brian Vickers there, though, so that moves him up, gives him 5 more points, actually getting up to 6th spot.
See Jeff Burton trying to draft along with Tony Stewart on the bottom of the racetrack, the 20 and 31 cars. Whoa, trouble, and that is Denny Hamlin.
Wow.
And Jimmy Johnson was right behind that when this engine had problem took place.
On the apron.
Now before that happened, he was in, and I know we talk about points a lot, but we're getting to that point. He was 9th in the points, and he had an 89-point cushion. Now this is going to be huge, though. We've had a lot of guys right there that we've talked about all day that have had a lot of problems. Now the 11, the 9, the 24, and the 07 hasn't run that well.
Jimmy Johnson had just got by Denny Hamlin right here on the apron.
Wow.
This engine blows up.
Talk about timing. And there are still 39 cars on the racetrack. The 39th place car 3 laps down, and there's 5 to go. So Hamlin comes to the pits. He could finish 39th, and that would be a huge blow in terms of his points.
And do you ever look when something like that happens with 5 to go and say, man, I wish we had never made that last run on Saturday in that final
yes,
practice?
I have, because you could just need just a few more laps. 5 more laps would have done it. That's a tough break. You hate to run all day long and have the thing blow up with 5 laps to go.
All right, let's go back to Chicago. We saw Kyle Busch in this very position, except it wasn't Carl Edwards, it was Jimmy Johnson, and we know he's really good on restarts. We're going to have just basically 2 laps to go by the time they get this cleaned up.
I'm with Rusty on this one. I think Carl's got something for him.
Mike, let's check in with in the Kyle Busch pit.
Well, just before that caution came out, it was almost as if Kyle Busch was waving the white flag and just acknowledging the fact that the 99 and the 6 were just better than him. But once this caution came out, it breathed new life into him. He believes he might have a chance, but still, he figures he needs to do a little bit better job on the restart. He said last time he was just overdriving it.
Remember the last restart, he had David Reagan he had to deal with. Now he doesn't have David Reagan. He just got his focused on the back of that Ford of Carl Edwards. Let's listen to the Carl Edwards radio.
Just saying it's going to be a good race either way, and we'll win if we deserve to. But I think it's good enough, bud.
He sounded pretty confident to me.
Yeah, I would be too, I think.
You talked about the restart at Chicagoland. When Kyle Busch had to get it done, how aggressive was he going to be? Well, we know what happened. Kyle Busch aggressive, able to get by the 48 car, took it to high side and took it to victory lane, sweeping both races on the weekend in Chicagoland, NASCAR Nationwide and Sprint Cup. We are setting up for a shootout here at Michigan International Speedway. Brooklyn, Michigan under caution for the 7th time, and the reason for the caution, Denny Hamlin standing by with Dave.
He is, Doc, indeed. Denny, talk to us about what you felt behind the wheel and then how you're feeling now. You know this affects the points.
Well, we came here with a new engine package, and we're a bubble driver, and we just make stupid choices. We can't keep our cars together. We have dash malfunctions, the motor breaking. At this point, we don't even deserve to be in the chase.
Doc?
Boy, that's just show you how disappointed that guy is and what they're thinking about here. My goodness. And right now, he is barely in by just 35 points and 12th spot in front of David Reagan. Let's listen to the radio for the 99 car of Carl Edwards.
He's been doing on these restarts about 10, 15 car lengths past the start-finish line. He goes and rear ends the car that's been taking that's been lead. So be prepared for that.
So consider yourself warned, huh? Last time they had a restart, the 99 had a little insulation there in terms of his teammate.
Yeah, but David Reagan didn't have any insulation right here. You see how he gets a nudge from Kyle Busch, and I'm sure that's what Bob Osborne's talking about when he tells Carl to be ready.
Yeah, Kyle Busch does a really good job of getting to the gas and not spinning the tires on these restarts, and that really helps him. So I'm sure Carl's going to be ready for him.
It will be 2 to go as they come down for the green flag. Who will it be? Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch. Toyota's not one here. Can Edwards pull off the weekend sweep? Fans on their feet at Michigan International Speedway. David Reagan trying to get his career best finish. And Edwards just pulls away.
Got a great restart right there. The 99 car did. Not going to give Kyle that opportunity to get in his rear end. Here he goes.
Biffle trying to get on the outside of his teammate.
This doesn't look like it. Kyle has got a strong car on these on the first laps after these restarts.
Yeah, it's like he can't get the front tires to grip and go where he wants to go.
Jack Roush, who shops for so many years, we're in Livonia, Michigan, so proud of his strong engines. And right now, one stout Ford pulling away from Kyle Busch. White flag.
Yeah, he had a good turn. Kyle Busch had a good turn 3 there, but I just don't think that he's got enough. Carl Edwards' car is just too strong, I believe. And these have been the 2 best cars pretty much most of the day. Dale Jr. was fast at the beginning, but for the last half of the race, these have been the 2 best cars.
Carl Edwards trying to come down and get win number 5. The all-important bonus points. 10 bonus points per win. Remember, he didn't get the bonus points for the Las Vegas win because of the violation they had with the oil tank cover. Here he comes out of turn 4. And for the 2nd time in 2008, a driver sweeps both events. Carl Edwards will win it Saturday and Sunday at Michigan. Great finish here. Matt Kenseth. Whoa. Jimmy Johnson down in the grass. saves it from going against the wall. He will come across. And Matt Kinza just did get the 8 car of Mark Martin at the line.
And gets him a top 5 finish for it. And that's 4 out of the top 5 are Jack Roush cars. Pretty impressive day. And David Reagan there in 3rd. Jack Roush has to be pretty proud of this.
He's got to be awfully proud of. And how about that pit crew? Did a nice job of getting that 99 out when the race was on the line. Now watch the effort for the 17 car, Matt Kinza, coming to the checkered flag.
Can't back off now. Bounces that thing off the wall, keeps coming. Wow. Mark gives him room. Might only seem like 1 spot, but that's 5 points towards getting himself solidified in that chase.
And here's Jimmy Johnson. Not as lucky. Contact, and Johnson will slide broadside in the grass.
Yeah. Turn 4 was his problem throughout the day. Yeah. Created his problems earlier and then a problem there at the end.
They're trying to pass Travis Quapple on the 28 car right here. That would have been for the 13th spot if he could have gotten around.
And Johnson will be credited with a 17th place finish. Here he comes. He did it yesterday. The signature somersault back to back at Michigan. Yeah. Carl Edwards. And the fans love that. Let's go down to Shannon.
Yeah, down here with Bob Osborne, just debating whether Carl was going to leave his helmet on again like he did yesterday. 10 extra bonus points, another win. How important is this win to you guys here today?
Very important. You know what we're doing here is we're doing a little bit of practice sessions for the chase, and we're trying to get those 10 points to catch that 18 car. He had a fabulous car. 48 had some trouble, had a fabulous car, but this Office Depot Ford Fusion was phenomenal today, and Carl Edwards did a great job. The pit crew did a great job. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
And of course, Bob Osborne did a great job calling the race for Carl Edwards today, guys.
Carl Edwards led 5 times for 84 laps. He led the final 18 laps. By the way, David Reagan tying his career best finish today, 3rd, which was Richmond back in September of 2007. Carl Edwards becomes just the 2nd driver to sweep the weekend. Yesterday here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, he led 71 laps, kept the Hans device on. There's the backwards flip.
He had a little more trouble yesterday.
And today,
that's only 250 miles yesterday.
Yeah, can he stick the landing?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh.
Maybe the silver medal. Back at Michigan International Speedway here in Brooklyn, Michigan. What a weekend it has been for Carl Edwards. He turned 29 on Friday, celebrated his birthday, won in the NASCAR Nationwide Series on Saturday, and today becomes just the 2nd driver in the Michigan history to sweep the weekend. Mark Martin did it back in 1993. Carl Edwards, a winner in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series today. Let's go to Victory Lane and Jamie Little.
And it is a birthday sweep for Carl Edwards, turned 29 on Friday. Carl, you avoided some things that could have been a big factor here, plus the caution at the end and trying to hold off Kyle. Take us through your run today.
First of all, I have to thank Office Depot, Aflac, Ford Motor Company. Ford's the greatest cars on the road, and I'm glad to be a part of their resurgence. And man, that was just that restart. Kyle's very good at restarts, and I knew he was going to hang back and get the run on my bumper like he did to Jimmy, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I just didn't want to let that happen. My guys did an unbelievable job. He hit me off the pit road. I just got to thank all my friends and family and my fans. This is unbelievable. I mean, we're winning races, we're gearing up for the chase, and I'm feeling stronger than ever.
Carl, I know you told me that you don't remember much of today. It was a whirlwind, but how influential was your pit stops today? Your guys, you mentioned them. How important were they in getting this win?
Well, it's huge. I mean, Bob Osborne, all the guys have been working really hard. The calls that Bob makes nowadays are right. They're perfect. And he called 2 tires. My guys came through. I just can't thank everybody enough. I mean, Gillette and Under Armour and Escape RVs for my awesome Monaco coach, and mostly the fans for supporting this sport. I know times are tough right now, and it's cool to see this many folks out here supporting NASCAR, the thing that we love.
Carl Edwards' 5th win. That's the most in his series for him. Mike?
And the guy that Carl Edwards is still chasing, though, in the points is Kyle Busch. He's the runner-up today, and Carl said he was bracing for an attack from you on those restarts. What did you have for him?
Pretty much nothing. He just was able to take off there on those restarts and get a heck of a run through 1 and 2. And once he got that gap, you know, it was just over. But, you know, I got to hand it to Steve Addington and all these guys on this Interstate Batteries Camry. We came here in the spring and weren't that great and got it a lot better this time around. At least we were competitive. We were up there and we were, you know, leading. And we had that one set of tires that was just special for this thing. And it took off, got the lead and pulled away and was checking out. And then, you know, we put the next set of tires on. It wasn't as good. And then, you know, those right sides, it wasn't as good again. So just unfortunate there. But, you know, we'll take that. At least it's something that we know we can keep up with the 99.
With this finish, you are officially locked into the chase and essentially the #1 seed. What's that like for you?
I mean, it's great to be able to have that, to be locked in and to have everything go our way so far this year. But, you know, we've got 3 more races left here before the chase starts, and then we've got 10 more to keep it up throughout the chase. So, you know, there's a lot of room there that that still anything can happen.
That's Kyle Busch. He brings it home second.
Third place right behind him, Mike, was David Reagan. And the call was, if everyone comes, let's come and take on 2 tires. Were you thinking bigger, or was that just a mistake? Didn't work out bad.
Probably half and half. You know, I saw the guys coming, and then I looked in my mirror and I saw a few staying out, and I said, you know what the heck, let's stay out. I felt like our car was a little better than the last run, so was hoping to not catch a caution that last few runs, and you know, it worked out the best. If we had to do it all over again, we might take 2 just to see what happened, but our AAA Ford had some good speed to it today. Congratulations to Carl. He was pretty fast, and I felt like we had just as equal a car to the 18. It just didn't work out, but nevertheless, a pretty strong and exciting day for us here in Michigan.
You've closed the margin. It's now 26 points to 12, David. What do you think of that?
I guess that's you know, 26 points closer to getting in there. That's it. You know, we still got 3 more races. That would mean something if we were going to Richmond next week. We'd probably pay attention to it a little more. We know what we have to do, and that's keep getting top 5s, keep getting top 10s, survive Bristol, get a good finish at California. So we know what's on the table. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be exciting. So stay tuned.
And he's not in Watkins Glen anymore. Shannon.
Yeah, Dave, moving right along down pit road, another Roush Fenway driver, Greg Biffle, 4th place finish today. You've moved from 10th to 7th in the point standings. How much padding does that give you in the next couple races?
Well, it gives us a little bit, you know, it was a great run for the 3M Ford Fusion car. Just guys did a great job in the pits. I can't say enough about that and how the engines ran. But just wish maybe different strategy. Maybe wish we would have stayed out on those tires. It was a game whether what to do. We knew a lot of guys were going to come, and David ended up staying out and getting the lead, and you know, it really worked out for him. He's able to keep his track position. So we're curious if that would have worked for us, but I'm still happy with 4th.
You got to talk about your teammate David Reagan and the run that he had today. How impressive was that for that young man?
Oh, it was a great run. You know, we were just a little bit faster than he was. I saw him in 4th, and we could put a little distance on him every green run, but I knew he was right there. And then once he stayed out on the stop and got in front of us, we needed about 5 more laps to do him, or to try and get to race with him. But he did a great job. He kept the car under him all day, and good top 5 run for him.
All right, great run for all the Roush Fenway drivers here today. Mike?
Yeah, and another one of those Roush Fenway drivers is Matt Kenseth at the top 5. How would you assess the day overall?
It was a struggle. You know, we really struggled all day. I mean, we ended up with a good finish, but we really, you know, the crew guys, overall guys, green flag stops or yellow flag stops, you know, Chip calling the race and making good adjustments is what got us to finish. We really didn't run good at all. So all my teammates whipped up on us, and we probably had a car that could have won in the spring. So I'm just disappointed with how we ran, really.
You've gone through some highs and lows points-wise over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but right now, 10th with 3 regular season races to go. How do you look at things in terms of the chase?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just really concentrating on trying to get running better. We've been, you know, trying to do some testing and you know, trying to, Chip's been doing a good job trying to build some new stuff, you know, get to the next thing that'll elevate our game a little bit. So, you know, right now we're not running good enough to win a championship anyway, so we're more concentrating on trying to get our cars running better and finishing better and running up front. So if we do make it, we can be a contender.
Matt Kenseth brings it home 5th here in Michigan, Doc.
Mike, 3 races remaining to settle the chase, and Kyle Busch is officially in the chase today. The big winners today, of course, plus 3 spots. Biffle, Harvick, the losers. Jeff Gordon finished 42nd. Casey Kane and Denny Hamlin hanging on. Clint Boyer is there, and as you heard, only 26 points back to David Reagan, who equaled his career best finish today. Guys, your final thoughts on what we saw here in Michigan?
Yeah, what a run for Roush. He gets half the field are Roush cars. I'll say half of the top 10.
are Roush cars, all of his cars in the top 10.
Yeah, great day for those guys, and these guys, it's going to make it an interesting points battle. From 8th back to 14th now, we have a real race, and these next 3 races are going to be interesting.
A good weekend to beat Carl Edwards and Alan Bestwick. A very good day to beat Jack Roush.
Yeah, I guess so. And the Blue Oval Gang Ford rules the hometown race for the Detroit Big Three as Carl Edwards and the Roush Fenway team sit in victory lane. Next Friday, Thunder Valley, Bristol, Friday night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN, the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. And Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, ESPN, our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race presented by Pennzoil Platinum.
I have got goosebumps, and I ain't even there yet, but I want to congratulate David Reagan on a great run. Elliott Sadler kept that car in the top 10, and Jamie McMurray had a big day.
I'll tell you what, Tony Stewart had a good points day, Kevin Harvick had a good points day, and Clint Boyer and David Reagan only 26 points out of the chase right now.
Sports Center is coming up next. Hope you'll stay with us for that. Of course, the late night NASCAR Now with a full wrap-up on today's race as well. Lots of in-depth post-race coverage. And our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable, ESPN2, 5 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow night. And again, Sports Center is next. So a great day here in Michigan. Beautiful weather and a great crowd on hand. We saw lots of sparks flying, both off the racetrack in the pre-race festivities and on the racetrack during the day. Some high rollers had some big trouble today, and some bubble boys got some much-needed results. Of course, the best result of all went to Carl Edwards, who missed a big wreck, barely. Key moment in the race for him, and went on to score his 5th win of 2008. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Sports Center's next. See you next weekend from Bristol.